All right. What is going on? How's it going, everybody out there in the internet lands? My name is Dangers, and joining me on commentary today, I have a very special friend named Fur_.
Hello.
He's here, and I'm going to be playing Super Mario Odyssey, and the category I'm doing is Darker Side. Now, Darker Side, obviously, it's not a category that you're going to see in just any video game. Darker Side is the name of like the final dungeon in this game. We'll talk about it a little more as we get the game started, I think. But from what I've been told, Fur has actually been given control of the button of starting the timer. Very important job. So I'm going to let him count me down.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So Fur, you speedrun this game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
What is this game about? What is Darker Side about?
What is Darker Side about? It's about it is about essentially collecting 500 moons and beating the level Darker Side.
That is essentially
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
I'm not.
So this game, kind of like other 3D Mario games of the past, there is a celestial collectible that kind of powers this game. And in this game, it is Power Moons. And Nintendo went full-on collectionist status and included 880 of them in this game. And so in order to get to the final level of this game, it's kind of hidden away. Like Mario games of the last couple of years have kind of done this thing where, you know, you beat the main story, but you can continue to play if you unlock things. So Darker Side is an unlockable kingdom, and we need 500 of those 880 Power Moons in order to unlock it. So that's the goal of this speedrun. And the very first thing that we do is we have to get through the main game. The main game is the story, and we can't really get to the Darker Side without completing the story. So the first time that we go through the game, we're going to just be beating all of the kingdoms. And we're going to be doing a lot of setup. You might think that just like, let's get to the end of the game as fast as we can so that we're in the post-game collecting moons. You know, that might seem like the right thing to do, but there's a lot of setup that we need to do. So, you actually saw me grab that checkpoint at the base of the Cap Tower there. That's because we need it for later. We're going to be coming back to Cap Kingdom later, so... And I tried to do a trick called left side, but I didn't do very well there, so we had to back it up a little bit, but no big deal.
It's not a big time loss or anything like that, so...
No, not huge. Now, the cool thing about this game is the captures, and we use the captures in pretty unique ways, in my opinion. Fur, what's your favorite capture in this game?
My favorite capture? The tree.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah. It's the most on-brand answer I could come up with.
They don't call you Fur for nothing.
Yeah.
So this game, it's only been out for 2 years, just over 2 years, and it's already become probably the most popular speed game, I want to say ever. I don't want to, like, I don't want to overstep anything, but I'm pretty sure it has the most submissions of any speedrun category of all time. The any % leaderboard does. So it's a very heavily run speed game, and as a result, the community's huge. We've been going through a lot of developments in the game. We've been finding a lot of secrets and stuff like that. And, you know, tricks just come by like every couple of months. And the game is always evolving. It's really exciting to run. Very accessible, too. So the first thing
Are you going to be showing us a fun trick here?
Oh, fun, yes. Fun is definitely the right word. Ah, yep. This is why we call it fun. This trick is, basically you just smash your face into a rock wall and you hope for the best. We're gonna keep trying here. There we go. Third time's the charm. So, that might seem like a pretty convoluted way to get up to the top of the kingdom, but if we were to cross the bridge, we would engage in a cutscene, and Cappy would tell us about the Odyssey, and wow, look at the spaceship that we can take. And we'd have to capture a dino, we'd have to do all these crazy shenanigans, but you can just kind of jump up the wall instead. It saves about 9 seconds if you get it on the first try.
Yep.
And, you know, left side and cap was really hard, and that was really hard, but we're not even into, like, the thick of it yet.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff you get to do in the beginning of this run,
Totally.
aren't there?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Should we talk about how because there's no dino in that strat, it's called Dino Skip Skip?
We should talk about that, yeah. Some people have tried to call it goat climb, which, I mean, you know, you do kind of climb the wall like a goat, and I think that's very cute, but I was so happy to hear that Odyssey finally had, like, a skip skip, so I stuck with that name. The soundtrack in this game is, in fact, excellent. There are a lot of bangers. I actually did like a meme speedrun the other day. It was called All Music. It actually lists out the music tracks in this game, and you can like go and listen to them whenever you want. Oh, I missed this one too. Heck. So what I just tried to do there is called chest clip, and you can use the moon that's spawning in to actually phase through the wall. Saves having to come out of the alcove and like over the top. It's not the only time that we're going to do a moon clip, though. Hopefully we'll be able to get the other moon clips because they're a little bit more important. But yeah. Cascade done. And like I said, there's a lot of setup involved in this run. There's a lot of getting ourselves prepared for the post-game because the moons in this run, we're only collecting 500 of them out of the 880, so we're cutting out the slowest 380 that exist. And so, oh, excuse me, by the time we get to the post-game, we're basically just picking up moons. We want to make the post-game as fast for ourselves as we possibly can, because we're going to go ahead and like revisit all of the kingdoms one more time after we beat the main game. And so if we make that easier for ourselves by setting ourselves up in the first visit, then it allows us to prepare ourselves for later. And none of the moons are going to take any more time than 20 seconds apiece when we get into the post-game. Like, it goes real fast. So one bit of setup here is planting this seed. Those seeds actually take 20 real-time minutes to grow, so if we plant that now, the next time we come into Sand Kingdom, it'll be grown fully and we won't have to worry about it.
Do we do DST at all in this run yet?
There is an opportunity to do it, but it's a little bit trickier than the other categories.
Okay.
Because you'd be setting it for a time that's like 2 hours into the run, so...
Yeah.
Not quite as useful. It also only saves like 2 seconds, so... Nothing crazy. This is a strat we call Dram, which Dram is actually a runner who used to play this game and is known for a lot of Super Nintendo stuff. And he didn't want that strat named after him, but, you know, the memers that we are decided that it was a good idea to name it after him anyways. So we did. Basically just a capture warp strat. And now this.
How are you feeling about this?
This is a trick, all right. Hopefully. Oh. You know? There's a lot going on there, so let's unpack that. What the heck just happened?
I mean, I hardly know. You went out of bounds. You went to a thing that's slightly in bounds, slightly out of bounds, that you can kind of like stand on or whatever, and then you just came back in bounds, skipping the pyramid entirely. Something like that.
Sounds
I mean...
Right. So it was actually discovered within the last month that you could skip the entire interior of the pyramid. It used to be any category would have you climb up here to fight Harriet. If you needed to complete the story, you need to fight Harriet. So you need to come up to the top of the pyramid. And that meant going through the pyramid. And we already had a way to skip into the pyramid because you used to have to open the door by doing other story elements, but you could just clip through the door. It was recently discovered that you can actually climb on the side of the pyramid and do a corner clip. Now, corner clips are interesting because every corner of the game, whether it's a wall and a wall like this or a wall and a floor like this, The creases are not perfect. Whatever they did with the creases, they just didn't make them perfect at all. So anywhere that there is a corner, there's like 1 pixel of leeway, or a couple maybe, it depends on the wall, where you can just slip through. There's other categories that use other corner clips to their advantage. That's the only one that we do in this particular speed run. It's kind of funny because like months ago I remember us talking about that in the community, like, you know, corner clips and ledge clips, they're probably like really useful, just like where the heck would we even use them? And it just, you know, they started coming around after a while. So like I said, we're collecting 500 power moons. So I skipped the pyramid, and the pyramid actually had 2 moons in it, but going from the bottom of the pyramid to the top, collecting all the moons in there would take about 70 seconds. And skipping it obviously saves all that time. So I have to replace the moons, but the total like net save, if I get it on the first try, is about 30 seconds to do IP skip. So very valuable trick, even though it's really, really hard.
For sure, yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually...
So since it didn't...
Oh, go ahead.
Ooh. I was going to ask, since it didn't take you too long to get IP skip this run, do you think this is on pretty good pace? Maybe a world record?
Well, I mean, DSS was really bad.
Well, true.
But I did save the time with the IP skip for sure. So,
yeah.
I mean, I forgot to set my own splits, so I couldn't tell you for sure, but, you know, it has a chance. If we play really clean, could. So now we're in the Night Sand. Night Sand is kind of a transitionary period between the first phase of the kingdom and world peace. Harriet wasn't the final boss of Sand. So we're kind of making our way back over to the hole in the desert that got created. We're just going to pick up a couple of extra moons along the way. Including this one.
Routes changed a lot since I've ran this category.
Yeah, and honestly, like the stuff that I'm doing, that IP skip that we just talked about, it's brand new. Utilizing it in a category that's 3.5 hours long is something that only lunatics do. You know, shoutouts to me being the lunatic that actually goes for it. So the route has made a couple of changes recently, but that's just to the discovery of new things. So I've kind of developed this marathon mentality that, like, if I'm running a speed game and there's cool stuff in it, I really want to show it off, as long as it doesn't, like, waste more than, like, 3 minutes, you know? I may or may not have given myself a little bit of wiggle room on my estimate, so we'll see how this run goes. Alright, now we're in the ice cave. And a couple quick moons that we can get here. And you'll notice that rolling is like a really important element of this game. Mario finally took a note out of Sonic the Hedgehog's book and discovered that rolling was in fact like the fastest way to get around, so... This game gets a lot of credit for being very motion control heavy, especially at a speedrun level, and that's just because, like, in order for me to get those yellow sparks coming out of Mario when he's rolling like this, it actually requires me to be shaking my controller. So it sounds terrible, but you kind of get into a rhythm of it eventually.
Still kind of sucks, though, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I mean, especially in categories like, you know, all moons, where you might need to shake a controller for a little bit longer than that.
Yeah.
So this is our first major boss fight. This is how we achieve what's called world peace. We'll talk about world peace a little bit after this boss fight, I think. But this is Knuckletech. And all of the bosses in this game are pretty linear. There's not a whole lot of things that you can do to really speed them up, except for really minor stuff. So you might just think you can just kind of wait around. It's a bit auto-scrollery. He's just punching the icicles, and you're throwing his fist back into him. The classic hands and face boss. But actually, in this phase here, rolling in between his fists like this does save about a second every phase. Probably has something to do with, like, you know, the fists have to be behind you in order for his face to come back into the arena. Something like that. Otherwise, this fight's pretty straightforward. I don't suppose we have any donations or anything. We can probably plug some of those.
Unfortunately, not right now, but I can remind everyone that we're doing this event not just to support ourselves so that we can run more of our marathons like ESA Summer and ESA Winter in the future to raise money for charity. We're also doing it that you, the viewers, and well, some of the runners, have something to do during these times, of course. And yeah, so we greatly appreciate any donations or subscriptions that you can throw away. And there was a little discussion earlier in chat, Dangers. They were wondering what the exact color of your hair is.
Ah, the
So
color of my hair. Well,
what's the official answer? What's the right color?
It's definitely like a violet color. Now, I understand that as it stands, we're all in kind of a position where we need a haircut. So it's not as vibrant as it once was. So it's a little bit hard to tell. I can understand. But yeah, it's definitely like a deep purple color. And yeah, I can't
there was
touched up.
quite some variety there. People couldn't agree on a fixed color.
It's definitely lightened up. Lavender's not a wrong guess. All right, so before we leave this kingdom, we had to take a little pit stop. We had to talk to our friend in the town there. If you noticed, there was a taxi stuck in the ice, and once all the ice melted, the taxi driver was able to get his taxi car back. And that's fortunate for us because this little guy wants to go on a trip around the world, and we're going to follow him on that trip around the world. But in order for him to get his trip rolling, we needed to go and talk to him first. So before we leave Sand, it's really important that we talk to him. And his trip is important because every stop along his way, he's going to give us a power moon. So, you know, it's all about setting ourselves up for the future, like I said before. And world peace is part of that as well. So I mentioned world peace in that boss fight. What is world peace? Why is world peace important?
So each kingdom, or basically every kingdom, has something you could consider world peace, which is essentially completing the entire like story in that kingdom. And that opens up more moons for us that we can get later. And another thing that also opens up is the moon rock, which is something in post game that also spawns in more moons. So it's really important for us to get world peace in most of these kingdoms in our first visit, if not later.
Mm-hmm. There is only one kingdom that we kind of forego getting world peace right away, and that's actually this wooded kingdom. But that's just because we're going to be taking what's called the painting chain later. Think of like Super Mario 64, but the painting chain actually connects all of the kingdoms together, rather than it sending you from like a hub world to a different place. So when we get into the post game, the painting is going to be really important, but we can explain the painting a bit later when we actually get there. But essentially, yeah, the Wooded Kingdom, it just so happens that we can finish world peace when we come in through the painting later. We get spit out in a really good spot to kind of make that more optimal. So, with that being said, we're in the Deep Woods right now. And the Deep Woods is kind of like the scary accidental place that you don't really know exists until you've magically found yourself in it when you play casually. Just so happens that there's a couple fast moons in here, so we're going to go around. Little known fact, you can actually use the seed. You can use the nut that plants the beanstalks to just knock the dino right in the face, and you can capture him that way. Funny fact. Now, a question I get about Darker Side a lot is, I can get to Darker Side with 500 moons. Does that mean that the speedrun buys moons? And while you can use duplicate moons to get to the Darker Side, the speedrun's rules specifically say not to. There is a category extension run where we do use duplicate moons, and it kind of just like is a condensed version of Darker Side, I guess, where you're also routing in the fastest coin stacks and like the fastest hint art stacks and stuff like that to get as many coins as you possibly can. But this speedrun, I think for the sake of interest, decided to not buy duplicate moons. Now, this is another moon clip that we were talking about. This is what's called the nut clip. And by using that moon's position and backflipping and cap throwing at exactly the right time, I was able to slip behind the wall and into the out of bounds, which I can use to skip a gate. It saves about 8 seconds to do that. And then I'm just on my way.
So, Dangerous, since that's called nut clip, what would you say your favorite nut is?
Oh, what is my favorite nut? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What is my favorite nut? Dude, there's so many nuts in this game. Unless you're talking about, like, the real world nuts, like peanuts and walnuts.
I was thinking real world nuts, I'll be honest.
Ah, okay. Well, I think peanuts has got to be my favorite. Almonds is a close second.
Peanuts
though.
are pretty good.
Almonds is a close second.
I'm a big peanuts and cashews guy.
Ooh, cashews. Did you know that cashews are not technically nuts?
What?
I know. They're like
Learning something new every day.
They're the seed of a fruit. I don't remember where it's from, but they're technically not nuts.
Wowee.
Oh boy. So I'm gonna try and do Flower Road Skip, and I'm actually losing more time than it saves. But it does look fancy, so I'm gonna go for it. Just a cute little jump around the corner. So you notice that I can change my momentum pretty easily. It usually has to do with things called roll cancels. You want to explain roll cancels a little bit for?
So a roll cancel is when you're rolling and you cancel it. So how that works is this game has like a buffer system with its movement.
Mm-hmm.
So typically when you're leaving a roll cancel, you can just do like a long jump or something like that, and you'll go into the air. But if you buffer a cap throw right when you do that long jump, you'll actually stay on the ground, and you can do these like little swerves and stuff and keep a lot of momentum as you leave that roll. It's pretty fancy.
That's right. And that's how the roll cancel works. And that's how the Flower Road Skip works too. So you can build up momentum by rolling, and like as soon as you ground pound roll, you get to max speed immediately, and then you can kind of just redirect it in a different direction. And the cool thing about roll cancels is that it gives you your abilities back, right? And if you're rolling, you can't jump properly, you can't like change your momentum or anything like that, so roll canceling kind of gives all that back to you. Now, you might have noticed that when we exited Sand Kingdom, we were given a choice. We were given a choice between two different kingdoms, and I chose Wooded first on purpose. And I always kind of laugh because trying to explain why we choose Wooded first usually takes longer than the time save that you actually get from choosing Wooded first. It's a little bit convoluted. But basically, the order that we choose the kingdoms now affects the post-game later. I was talking about those paintings. The paintings order is determined by which path you choose in the beginning. So if I choose Wooded first now, I'll arrive at Wooded in the painting chain first later on. And that just lets us do something in the post-game that we don't have to do now. And it saves about 3 seconds. And we'll explain that a little bit in a moment as well. But now we get to go to Lake. And you'll realize we beat Speward and then we hightailed out of there. Like I said, we're not actually completing the story in Wooded just yet, because we got spit back at the Odyssey. And the Odyssey is really, really far from the boss fight, the final boss in this kingdom. So if we wait until later to complete World Peace in Wooded, the painting is going to spit us out closer to the boss. So it'll save us some time. Lake is kind of a boring kingdom in this run, for the first visit anyway. The second visit's actually really good. But we're basically just trying to get our minimum amount of moons here, and then we're just going to jet. Oops. Just swim around. Speedrunning really utilizes the captures in really unique ways. Like, bullet bills are probably my favorite capture in the entire run just because of the ways that you can use them. Like you saw in Sand Kingdom, we were using them to like capture warp and like grab moons and then immediately zip back to the places that we needed to be. So, using the captures to our full potential here. Really little known fact is that the fish actually gets like a speed boost, and you can activate that by pressing both like B and Y at the same time. Or I guess B and X. I don't remember which buttons are on top and which ones are on the bottom. Maybe Fur, you can help me out here.
I'm gonna need to look at a controller here.
All I know is that A is the top jump button. Y is the bottom cap throw button. Okay, so I play with B and Y. Maybe we can,
I'm also a B and Y person.
Maybe we can set off an argument in the chat. Just like the nut argument of the last kingdom. B and Y chat or A and X? I want to hear it.
I mean, what if they're A and Y or B and X?
Do you know Chaos Pringle plays like that?
Yeah, I do.
Like, why? Why would
I
you
don't
do
know.
that to yourself? The buttons are so far away from each other.
I don't know.
All right. So we beat Rango. He was kind of a pushover. Didn't really give us much of a problem at all. And we have 7 moons. We need 8 to leave. So I actually purposefully left 1 alone because we need to look at this. This is a hint art. And these hint arts are kind of important. Do you want to explain the hint arts a little bit too, Fur?
So the hint art moons are the things we get from looking at these little like paintings, as you just saw Dangers look at. And they essentially spawn a moon that you can get from just ground pounding a spot in a different kingdom. And the moon will only spawn in if we look at the painting, so we got to make sure we do that.
Yep. It is a little bit silly because we've obviously memorized where the ground pound spots are for these hint arts, but if we don't physically look at them, then they don't appear in the game. They just don't exist. So I got to take care of that. And now the game debates us into thinking we're going to Metro Kingdom, but as these skippable cutscenes would let us believe, we're actually going to get shot down by Bowser here. We're going to be ambushed into a little of arena fight. And this game is all about headwear, and Bowser's got a pretty fancy thing going on. His hat has fists in it, so another use of the motion controls, I'm actually shaking my controller to punch in the most effective way possible. But we can finish this fight off a little bit faster just by jumping right in Bowser's face, doing a backflip and a cap throw at the exact right time, and use Bowser's power against him. And we gotta rush to the other side of the arena really fast so that we're getting there in time, which makes this fight a little bit tricky, but nothing too crazy. And he's gone, just like that.
Just like that.
Indeed. I feel like we should be letting people know about the story, because we're going to these random
About the
kingdoms.
story?
Yeah.
You think I know about the story?
You're an all moons runner. You've collected everything in this game. Surely you know the story.
About that.
All right. Well, maybe you can tell us about what I just did there. I used a tree to kind of jump up the side of the kingdom. Pretty sure that's not what I was supposed to do.
So normally in Lost Kingdom, what the developers probably wanted you to do was to just kind of walk forward and then get Cappy stolen. But that's slow, and we don't really want that. So what we do here is we kind of just go around that little trigger zone for Cappy getting stolen. And we'll eventually go to Klepto, who steals Cappy, and trick him into entering the next phase where he thinks he already has Cappy, but he doesn't.
Right.
And that ends up saving a lot of time. It's pretty good.
Because you notice the game is eerily quiet in this kingdom. There's not a whole lot of music or anything going on right now. It's just me running around, kind of doing my own thing. The game is still believing that, Klepto hasn't seen us yet, right? That we're doing that on purpose. We're trying to avoid him. But we can actually enter the next phase of it without giving him Cappy at all, without triggering the cutscene or anything like that. And we're going to do that really fast here. And it's obviously a lot faster to do this than to initiate kind of what the game wants us to do. So we've got this moon. And then I'm just going to spin pound off this tree and get right up in his face. Notice how he flies away. So I've tricked what's his name? Klepto. I've tricked Klepto into thinking he has Cappy now, but he doesn't. He's kind of dumb. We still have Cappy. But now that we have tricked him, we're allowed to kind of roam around the kingdom freely. And making use of these death warps, the first thing I did when I got to this kingdom was climbed up to the top and got the checkpoint, and that's because every time I die, I'm going to end up at the top. It's a really good vantage point, so we use that to our advantage a lot. And this is Glydon. This is my good buddy Glydon. Very good capture. He's going to be very important for a trick that I'm going to be doing up here, actually. Another capture warp strategy. There's a lot of these in this run. I'm going to position him here. Perfect. So the normal way, surely you do this in all moons, right? What's the normal way to get this moon? I'm just a filthy cheater, so.
I don't do it the normal way either, but what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to capture one of those like wigglers that like stretches in stuff like that, and take him all the way over from like that area that Klepto was in to that back area and stretch to the key, and that's how you're supposed to do it. But yeah, that's slow. We don't like that, so we don't do that.
That's right. Just kind of go ahead and skip it. Yeah, capture warps are really, really handy. They let us kind of, you know, skip some of the intended mechanics for sure. Probably the biggest benefit to Mario's moveset is the fact that, you know, Cappy is a very like valuable element to making Mario move around.
Very much so.
Now we're in Metro Kingdom, and this is the kingdom that was like really heavily featured in the advertisement of this game. And it's not exactly what you expect when you get here. It's very dark and gloomy, and it's raining, and this is what we call Night Metro. The town is being terrorized by a gigantic robot Wiggler. So we need to save the town. And a lot of us getting from here to there is just, you know, some fancy movement. It's crazy to watch, like, I mean, you could probably say this about any game, but just watching a game, like, in its very early stages, especially a platforming game with, like, a high technical skill level like this one, going back to, like, the beginning of this game and seeing what it looked like to be at the top level versus what it looks to be at the top level now, and, like, all of the different, like, movement techniques and stuff that we do, it's pretty fascinating.
It's changed a lot, yeah.
It has. Now that's a really scary jump. Mostly because the camera fights with you. That's probably what makes that jump the hardest. Alright. Here we do the Mecha Wiggler Boy, and this boss is actually mostly, we'll say mostly, there is a way to skip it, but it's kind of not, it's a two-player strategy, so it's not really worth mentioning, but mostly mandatory. And in order to get to the day portion of the Metro Kingdom and collect power moons where they're in abundance, we need to fight this guy. He's actually one of the elements of RNG in this run. There's very few. And it all comes down to the second phase. The first phase always looks the same. We're always going to be standing in kind of the same place to get him to, you know, go from wall to wall as fast as he can. But this phase can be any number of like a dozen patterns. And depending on what pattern you get, usually makes this fight easier or harder. And this one actually is pretty good. I'm not going to lie. This one, pretty comfy pattern this time. I'll take that. Excellent. Yeah, world peace is actually not achieved in this kingdom yet. So once you've saved the day, once you've made the kingdom bright and cheery again, that's not enough. In order to have achieved world peace here, you need to throw a festival for yourself. And you need to collect the resources for that festival yourself, which I think is kind of backhanded, but that's fine. Whatever you want to do, Pauline. Whatever you want to do. So this kingdom also has a lot of other setup elements that we were kind of talking about before. So one of those setup elements is the seeds, planting them in pots. We're going to be doing a little bit of that in this kingdom. Among some other things, just getting ourselves ready for when we revisit it. And we'll revisit all the kingdoms when we beat the main game. Do we have time? I think we got some time for some donations if we've got any.
All right. Unfortunately, not right now, but donating is, of course, not the only way that you can support us. Another option is using your Twitch Prime, if you have that.
True.
To subscribe to us. And we will get a match for every subscription, not just the Twitch Prime ones, in the sum of $2.50 per sub from HyperX, one of our sponsors, until we reached 800 sub points that you can see at the bottom there. But it's not the only option. You can also buy some of our ESA merch. If you scroll down and click on the picture with the 3 handsome men on there, you can buy an ESA t-shirt or hoodie. And let me tell you, I have one of those hoodies. It's probably the most comfortable item that I have. I wear it way too many times. So yeah, there's a lot of options, and thank you so much.
Yeah, you heard him. Twitch Prime subs.
I love Twitch Prime.
It's pretty dandy, not gonna lie.
It actually is just wonderful.
All right, so the first part of arranging a festival for ourselves is collecting bandmates. So every time we collect one of these bandmates, we get spit back into this room, and we just kind of have to go and grab the other ones. So we're going to try and do a little bit of setup for ourselves while we can. There was a checkpoint on that island with the bassist that I had to grab for later. A lot of the setup involves like checkpoints, planting seeds, the tourists that we were talking about, hint arts, all that kind of stuff. We got to do all that in Metro. So. And just one more bandmate to collect. And take us up to the roof. And important that we collected this checkpoint, of course. All these checkpoints that I'm grabbing are on purpose. And in fact, there's more than one reason why I would collect checkpoints. Some of them are utility. Like some of them I'm collecting on purpose because they, you know, I can warp to them later and it makes things pretty dandy. But there's actually another reason, and, you know, it's one of my favorite parts of this entire game. I think you know what I'm talking about.
I don't know if I do, to be honest.
You don't know what I do? Why would I collect a certain number of checkpoints?
Because of Toadette.
Aha! There it is.
Yeah, there we go.
Why don't you... So, Toadette's really fun. You should explain Toadette and what Toadette is all about.
Alright, you don't need to keep lying, Toadette's not fun. But, basically, there are moons in this game that are pretty much achievement moons. So, in Mushroom Kingdom, you'll have, like, on the moon list, all these, like, different stats that are tracked. Some of them are for, like, checkpoints, coins, and other things. And you get those moons from talking to Toadette. They end up being pretty fast because you end up clearing a lot of those achievements just by playing the game. But it does lead to a part of the run where we're literally just talking to this character over and over and over again to get moves, and it's kind of tedious.
Yeah, tedious is definitely a word for it. In all moons, you have to get all of them, and there's 61 Toadette achievements. In this category, we get half. We get 31 of them. But it also paved the way to making this category what it is, because every time you get a Toadette moon, it takes like 7.5 seconds to get one. So those are really fast moons. Like I said before, 20 seconds is kind of the threshold on this category. If a moon is slower than 20, then it doesn't get included. So 7 to 8 seconds is really fast. So a lot of this game's initial route was kind of keeping the Toadette moons in mind, because as many of those as we could get for free, the better the route was in total. And in fact, we do a lot of things that are probably slower than 20 seconds, but because we've done enough of them, it kind of condenses them. So, like, for example, the slots machines. We get 3 slots moons in this run, and they're all probably too slow on their own. But if you combine 3 of them together, you get another one for free, because a Toadette moon is doing the slots. So we get 4 moons for the same time that it took us to do 3. And a couple other examples like that in the run as well. But you can get Toadette achievements for everything. One of them is World Peace, funny enough. You know, one of them is just saving Peach. One of them is jumping 10,000 times. I know that's Fur's favorite. One of them is doing a certain amount of, like, 2D moons. One of them is doing a certain amount of timer challenges. Like, there's a Toadette moon for everything.
It really is.
So this is the festival, and the kind of the penultimate moment of the speedrun. I remember being really happy about, like, arriving at this point of the speedrun. Super fun, super jolly. The music's great. And this is what we need to achieve world peace, is actually completing this festival. Just a little bit of 2D platforming that I am apparently not very good at. Oh boy. Making things a little bit dangerous for ourselves. I'm going to take this the easy way. There we go. Don't need to die in the festival. Don't want to have to do the entire thing again.
Yeah, it's really not good if that happens.
All right. So we've collected 19 moons. We need 20 to leave. So we actually do need to do one more thing. And thankfully I've left the one thing for last because I have no choice. Now that we've achieved world peace in this kingdom, our good friend, the tourist, is actually going to be waiting for us at the bottom of this zip line. So we're just going to go give him a quick talk. And the way this tourist works is that he goes on a linear journey. So every time we talk to him, he sets off to his next location, but he won't show up at the next location until we've talked to him in the previous one. So he wouldn't be here right now if we didn't talk to him in Sand. We won't actually have to backtrack for him anymore. We won't have to go out of our way at the end of a kingdom or anything like that for any more tourists. He'll kind of just be conveniently in our way. But now that we've gotten that out of the way, we can move on. And there's going to be another fork in the road here, but it doesn't matter as much as the first one did. It doesn't matter which one we choose. We're not setting ourselves up any differently than we would be if we chose one over the other, so we can just mash through and choose Snow first. And Snow is a really good kingdom in this category. It's excellent. One of my favorites. So, kind of like Sand Kingdom, there are two kingdoms in this game that we can actually break the sequence of the game and skip some story elements in order to progress. Sand was the first one, doing that IP skip. The second one is Snow. Snow Kingdom, maybe Fur, you can explain the story of Snow Kingdom a little bit.
I thought we already went over. I don't know the story, but I think it's that Bowser wants a cake, right?
He does want a cake
He
here.
stole a cake from here. And he also locked off Shavarian's racetrack so they can't go on their races that they enjoy oh so much anymore.
That's right.
So we have to go through the rooms and collect the moons that will open up the race area so they can hold the Boundable Grand Prix.
That's right. So
Something like that.
that's basically, you hit it on the head, I think. In this little area coming up, there's 4 hallways, and each hallway has a seal at the end, and we break the seal by going into those rooms. It's really slow. So instead of that, we're going to try and do this. Oh, I didn't get that clip, so wish me luck on the second one.
Oh boy.
This roll cancel clip is a backup. Actually, treated me kind of nicely there. I've had it go much worse than that before, I'll tell you.
Me too.
But there's a couple reasons, actually, that we skipped those hallway rooms that I was talking about. They have the seals in them, and going into 4 hallways to unlock this part of the game is really slow, especially considering that we can just do this. But another thing is that when we open up the moon rocks in the post-game, and moon rocks is something that we can talk about later, more moons become available in those rooms, so it actually increases the value of those rooms in the post-game than it does in the first visit. So that's a reason that we leave them for the end. Now, this is my friend Snoodle, and like we were talking about, the Treasured Bound Bowl is now something that we've unlocked and been able to achieve, so we're going to go ahead and play it. Usually when I do this on my regular streams, I'll get the chat to guess the exact time that we get it. Anywhere between like 52 and 54 seconds is usually a pretty good guess. And, you know, I'm feeling pretty generous, so if somebody gets it right on the nose, I'll gift them a sub to ESA. How about that?
Am I allowed to guess?
Of course. You're gonna guess H because you're a hacker.
That's what you guess, not me. I'm gonna guess. Pressure's on. I'm gonna guess 52. 52.
Okay. A little symmetry in the numbers. We like that. That roll was extra spicy. I don't usually do that, but that was really good. This might be the time that I just pop off and I get the 51 for the first time in like a long time. In that case, I would have debated you all. 51.95, indeed. I'm sorry for leading you astray, Chad. I was too fast.
Were actually some 51 guesses, but not a 51.95, I think.
Unfortunate.
So unfortunately, not.
What was
correct.
the closest one?
51.88, I think I saw. Yeah.
51.88. Was there anybody close on like the 52 side? Did anybody guess like 52?
Oh, there's a flat 52 here.
A flat 52? All right. I'll give them a sub.
Right, that's Rain Maha. Congratulations.
Congrats on the sub, my friend. Thank you for
Ryan
participating.
Maha, sorry. Really bad with names.
All right. So, the Snow Kingdom, before we achieve the Bound Bowl, doesn't really have a whole lot of power moons to choose from. So, we leave some of the moons until after World Peace, because now we've cleared the blizzard up. There's actually going to be a lot of moons available to us in this kingdom now. So, just a couple fast ones here and there. This timer challenge. This bunny. Bunnies are really fun, by the way.
I agree.
That actually didn't give me too much of a problem there. And this one. So I mentioned earlier there's not a whole lot of RNG in this game. But this is one element of RNG. This fishing. So, Fer, do you want to explain how fishing works?
You reel. I don't know how to use fishing terms. You just kind of cast your line and then hope that the fish bites it once it sees it.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's two different kinds of bites. There's like a light bite and a heavy bite, and you can tell by the rumble on your controller. So the heavy bite is the only one that actually works to reel the fish in. So we're waiting for the heavy bite. And I actually got it on the second try, which is pretty good. First try is pretty normal, but, you know, because it's RNG, you could be waiting for quite a while. What is your worst fishing time? For how many
Like
times?
13 or 14?
13, yeah, I was going to say. I think that's probably my worst, too. Sometimes you just really have a tough time, and each failed bite is like 3 seconds, so always fun. And now we're in Seaside. Seaside is the home to my favorite of a lot of things. Home to my favorite boss and my favorite track.
Is your favorite track the boss track?
Yep.
What do you know?
What do you know? Now, this boss is a really simple name. One that is absolutely just rolls off the tongue. Fer, do you wanna,
of course.
Do you want to let us know what it is?
Yeah, about that.
What's wrong? I don't understand.
Are you sure?
Uh-huh. Oh, I'm sure.
It's something like Sir Lancier Mollusk Dolphin Bubbling the Third something. I don't know.
Close enough. It was pretty close. See, it rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah.
It's okay. We'll be seeing him in a moment. He's actually sitting on the top of this goblet in the middle of the kingdom. And our goal is to knock him off with these little pegs. But you'll also notice that I like purposefully got those music notes and then left the moon just sitting on that platform underneath. It's because I don't like it. I just thought I would show off the notes for you, but I'm not actually going to get the moon. It's kind of stinky, to be honest.
It's not very nice.
I know.
I never knew about this side of you, Dangerous. What the heck?
It's not my fault the moon's really stinky. I had to stay away from it. In fact, I'm going to be really close to it again. Ew. Get me out of here.
Wow.
Can't stand to be around that moon, I tell you. It looked at me funny. I can't stand for that. All right, so now we've captured the Gushin. And the Gushin he's a good boy. Well, he's going to go on a little adventure with us. We're going to use him to kind of scale the cliff of this kingdom. And refilling his water is pretty easy. You can land in some water. That's probably the most straightforward way. You can grab a power moon, but it can't be a story moon. It has to be another power moon just kind of sitting. Or you can grab a checkpoint. So, in order for us to keep our good friend the Gushin, we're actually going to just drop him right here, and then we're going to grab this story moon. And by putting him there, he's just a little bit farther away than, like, this story moon's radius is. If we were to collect the moon with him or have him too close, then he would despawn and we wouldn't be able to use him anymore. So we had to tuck him in the corner for safety. Tuck him in for good night. And then we can go get him again. And use the checkpoint to refill his water and continue our journey. And again, kind of keeping him out of harm's way, this little spiky moon snake thing here can kind of ruin his day if he's too close, so keep him safe. A couple more moons. We're kind of just scaling the perimeter of this kingdom because we need to just to collect all of the seals. Break all the seals so that we can make the octopus boy mad, whose name pronounced is Brigadier Mollusk Lancer III Dauphin of Bablaine, by the way. And no, you can't make that up.
Basically got it.
You can't make that kind of stuff up. That's the actual official Nintendo name. So that's the last seal we needed. We can go ahead and capture this little gushy boy. And there he is, in all his glory. So, like I said, the boss fights in this game are pretty linear. They go down basically the same way, but this is probably my favorite one. So, I know exactly where he's going to be every single phase. He's going to follow me around the side of that stone pillar, and he's going to end up right here. Here's, you know what? The Stinky Moon is all right. I guess we can take it. It's fine. Lead him all the way around the lighthouse like this. And it's very important that, I mean, we're speedrunners, right? We got to go fast. So it's important that we make it to the hot spring over here before he does. And the reason is so that we can make him do this. It kind of defies all logics and physics. He kind of just like takes a little trip directly through the hot spring, and it saves him the time of going all the way around, which is a lot. So for some reason, beating him to the hot spring confuses the game and makes him do that. So and that's all there is to it. That's Seaside. Like I said, we'll be back here again. Every kingdom in the game gets a revisit except for Ruined and Cloud. And it's just because they're too small and they don't really have very many moons available. So and we have some time for some donations if we've got any, or some plugs.
We have gotten some. It looks like people started feeling a bit sorry for me. So we have a $15 donation from Andy of Pastatown saying, "Let's go gamers."
Yes.
And a $25 donation from AC Herox saying, "Here, have something to read." Smiley face. Thank you so much for
Smiley
that.
face.
There you go.
And another $5 donation from Deshi saying, "I always love platformer speedruns, and this one is just amazing to watch." Dangerous is doing a great John here. I think he had a little typo there. Should have said job. But it's a great John you're doing.
I mean,
Thank you so much.
I can complain a little bit more if you'd like me to. I can John some more. Andy of Pasta Town coming in clutch again.
Pasta Town.
That's where they make the pasta. It's got to come from somewhere.
True. True.
Ooh, it's been a while since I've actually been able to pull that trick off. So we're in Luncheon now. And Luncheon is basically the lava world in disguise. Instead of lava, we've got this molten Pepto-Bismol stuff going on. And honestly, I think this is probably my favorite kingdom. It's a little bit risky to speedrun. The geometry is very like neon colored, as you can tell, and it's got lots of weird jagged edges. And that makes things tricky because you don't really know what's a floor, what's a wall. It's kind of, sometimes you slide when you think you're in a wall jump. Sometimes you just slide when you think you're supposed to land on the floor. It's weird. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in this kingdom, so it can be a little tricky to speedrun, but just like the whole feel of it is probably my favorite. It's got like a very jungly theme in the kind of wasteland areas, and then when you get into the town, it kind of takes on a little bit more of like a European style town. It's very cool. I like it a lot. And you know, you can't go wrong with Pepto-Bismol. I mean, somebody at Nintendo decided that, you know, putting molten Pepto-Bismol everywhere was the way to go. We got to commend them for that.
We really do. Bold design decision.
Yeah. All right. So this is another really big kingdom. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to do in this kingdom is going to be taking place later on. So we're basically just trying to get the story done as fast as we can. So that's why you see us kind of just charging through, getting all the story moons, not really bothering to collect anything else, maybe some checkpoints along the way. But yeah, this is a very treacherous kingdom. It also has some of like the most fun, but also some of the riskiest sub-areas in the game. One of them is coming up right here. And this game is all about filling in the time, I think. Like, if you ever have a bit of downtime, you should be trying to figure out how to fill it by doing something else. And like we said before, there's a lot of movement opportunities with Cappy and Mario together. So when we were waiting for the moon to spawn in with the torch there, I threw Cappy forward so that I could like vault off of Cappy and use him as kind of a projectile for my movement. All that kind of stuff can save you little bits of time here and there. Alright. So just popped in and out of that sub area really quick. One of my favorite sub areas, even though it's really scary. And then some treacherous platforming on the back of this mountain here. Up to one of my favorite captures anyway. I think the tree is probably my favorite as well, but this is a close second. Very good boy. And so we get a multi-moon, and this is only the halfway point. That angry bird that lifted us up into the soup. We have to take care of them. But they spit us all the way back out at the Odyssey, so it was good that we collected some checkpoints along the way. So we're gonna go back there. And this kingdom also is probably the one kingdom that changes really dramatically as the story goes on. A part of the mountain actually kind of just like rises out from nowhere after we get that multi-moon. So we're going to be making our way over to that. get this hint art while we're here. Oh, getting my inputs eaten. Classic. No big deal. So there's this little entryway here. This kind of is where we need to continue the story. I think the Podoboos are one of my favorite captures in this game. Some of the stuff that you can do with them is really slick and really kind of flashy.
Yeah, for sure.
Doesn't beat the tree, though.
Of course not.
All right. So we were talking about Toadette achievements. There's a capture coming up here. And the reason I capture him is actually because of a Toadette achievement. There's a faster way to do this moon that I'm about to do, but it just so happens that one of Toadette's achievements is to capture things. I think it's 35 times. And so that guy helps towards our counter. So we capture him. Nice. There we go. Second time's the charm. Oh, that didn't work. Alright, that's fine. A little bit of tricky movement to get up to the top of the mountain, but we made it. And into the soup pot. And this is where we get to fight Cockatiel. Now, Cockatiel is probably my least favorite fight, despite the fact that it's a burb. It's probably my least favorite fight. Has the worst hitboxes in the game. Though you can speed up this fight. Unlike the other ones, like I said, they're kind of linear and you can't really do anything to speed them up. You can do that with this one. If you go under Cockatiel's booty here, you just jump up, you can hit them and initiate the vomiting phase, which, you know, doesn't really sound like a very delicious soup, but Cockatiel's the expert cook here, so I can't really deny, you know?
You can't? No?
You just say, "Oui, chef," and continue. Got the 4 jump. Let's go. And that's it. That's Cockatiel.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. What's your favorite boss in this game, Fur?
I like Mecha Brutal. They're pretty cool.
They're pretty cool, aren't they?
Yeah.
Does it bother you at all that the hitboxes in that fight also suck?
Do they?
Kinda.
I mean, the beginning, I guess climbing up is kind of dumb, but...
Oh, you're talking about Mecha Brutal. For some reason, I thought Mecha Wiggler.
No,
That
no,
would be
Mecha
wrong.
Wiggler sucks.
Yeah, the Mecha Brutal. I think I messed it up because I
Yeah.
call it Robo Brutal.
I think that's the official name.
Mm-hmm. Everybody calls it the
Yeah.
mech, though, so...
Yeah,
Lots
the
of weird,
mech.
complicated. Yeah, the mech. More like the heck. We're going to be fighting that boss pretty soon. And you'll see what we mean. So now the game believes that we're going to Bowser's Kingdom. But in typical story arc fashion, we actually get stopped. And we're going to instead make our way over to Ruined Kingdom after an ambush. And you know what, Fur? I'm really surprised you didn't say this was your favorite boss.
Why would I say that?
I thought everybody loved this one.
I mean, no. No. I don't think so. At least not in the speedrun. Casually, it's just kind of like, what the heck is going on here?
True.
But, in the speedrun, it's basically an auto-scroller.
Yep, it really is. So, obviously very menacing, terrifying Dark Souls boss, shooting lightning everywhere. We have to, you know, reveal this Captain Toad for security and comfort.
And coins.
And coins, yes. Coins are kind of important. Also another Toadette achievement. The coins are pretty generous in this run, so it's very rare that you'll ever be short on them. But we do use them to buy moons, and we use them for a Toadette achievement. Toadette is greedy, and she wants us to get 1,000 coins in the run, so 200
Yeah,
for
what the
free.
heck?
200 for free right here. Helps out a lot. But yeah, there's not a whole lot to really say about this fight. It goes the same way every single time. You basically just use the damage boost to get on the dragon's head a little bit faster and pull the swords out as fast as you can, and that's it. Avoid the lightning wheels. That'll always spawn in the same pattern every time. So, really, like, it is very theatrical, but as a speedrunner, it is the opposite of that.
Yeah, it's just kind of there.
It's just kind of there. Get his power moon, and we're on our way. And like I said, we won't come back to Ruin Kingdom. There was a treasure chest hiding underneath the stairs, which is really handy for us to use, just for an extra moon on the way. But aside from that, we're good to go. We can just head out. Now, I've been told that there was an incentive for Super Mario Odyssey. Is that right?
Yes, there was a nipple percent incentive that has been met. So
It's
we
been
will
met?
see. Yeah, it has been met before the run already. So we'll see Mario's nipples after this run.
Excellent.
Ooh, boy.
Hashtag free the nips.
Exactly. And speaking of donations, we actually got a few.
Excellent. Yeah, let's
We
go.
have a $5 donation from Bart Ball saying, "Let's go get the 7K during this amazing run. $5 train question mark?"
Yeah, I
And
like
right
that
now
idea.
we would only need $169 to get that. And even though I haven't read it yet, we've already gotten a $5 donation jumping on the train from Andrew's famous pasta sauce, saying, "What kingdom or section of this run do you think could be more optimized?" Also $5 train? I think it's time. And I do think it's time. If less than 40 people donate $5 now, we'll get those 7K easily. And I'm pretty sure there's more than 40 people watching right now. So yeah, what's the section that you think could be more optimized?
I think it really depends. Now, that's a good question because I mentioned at the beginning of this run that this community is very diverse and there's a lot of people in it. Lots of people have run this game and a lot of people have put their time and energy in making this game optimized. So saying any one part is probably hard to do. There's actually a really dedicated community to optimizing, and we call it the Best Theoretical Time community, or like the BTT. They've created a sheet. So this game doesn't have tasks, right? This game is on the Switch, and there are emulators, but they're hard to capture motion controls on, and motion controls are really important, so we can't emulate a speedrun and do tasks very well. But in compensation of that, we have Best Theoretical Time. So you know how speedrunners usually have splits for, like, in this game, say the kingdom that they're doing, or maybe like a 5-minute chunk or section or whatever. The Best Theoretical Time community is breaking the game down basically like moon to moon to see what the absolute fast best theoretical time you could do absolutely everything is. Oh, that was not good. In case you were wondering, this is not the best theoretical time for this section, so just ignore my gameplay for a second. But putting in lots of dedicated time to seeing just how far this game can go, truly. So I think it really just depends on the individual runner, what they need to work on, because they can look at this sheet and they can go, hey, like, my Bowser's Kingdom really sucks, so maybe I need to work on it. I think it's definitely gotten to a point where this game is basically just kind of waiting for tricks. Like, you can always be optimizing your movement, like half a second here, half a second there. But when the tricks come out, that's when this game really kind of re-energizes, I guess. That's when people can start utilizing really big time saves now over just optimization. But yeah, I would say that nothing is really not optimized anymore. It basically all is. It's pretty crazy. Alright, so we're going to do a little capture warp here. We did one at the beginning of the kingdom. I kind of flubbed it because there was a Spiny giving me a hard time. The capture warps are actually really important in this kingdom. You can kind of use them to just grab moons and zip back to the places you need to go. Really handy stuff. Nope, don't do that. There we go. Okay. But yeah, best theoretical time is actually really interesting because, yeah, we don't have tasks, right? So just kind of coming up with a way to counteract that and say, what is the absolute best a human could do by coming up with that sheet is... Some of that stuff is like craziness. You know, people grind hours for a section that's like 3 seconds long. Here's another little capture warp as well. And we use that just because the moon takes forever to spawn in, so we leave it in the ground and come back down into the hole afterwards. And this is, I think, the last of the brutal fights aside from the Robo Brutal, right?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, that's not good. Yeah, it's really not good. Oh, really? This fight is not treating me very nice right now. So this is Harriet, and the difference between this Harriet fight and the one before is that she throws 2 bombs instead of 1. So we kind of have to hit him at an angle, and you can actually go into first person like this and throw Cappy at the right angle to make it happen, but I missed the opportunity the first 2 times. And then the second fight is Topper. He's kind of just chilling. He's like the first fight, except now he has more hats, so that's really intimidating. But no problem for us. Take care of him pretty easily. And we're almost at the place where we're gonna fight for his favorite boss battle.
Yeah, we are.
Bowser is leading us to his lair, essentially, and we think that we're in for the final showdown of the game in this kingdom, which we definitely are, by the way. No spoilers. So as I'm going along, you're seeing I'm grabbing all these checkpoints, and that's because you've noticed that this kingdom is pretty vertical, and it's segmented, so it's hard to get around this kingdom really fast. Grabbing the checkpoints is really important so that we can make it around later on without having to take all the wires again. This is a cute little strat my friend Kerbis came up with. Basically, just filling in the time like I mentioned before. And Captain Toad's hanging around the corner. Grab this moon that he revealed here, and it's hard to see him, but there was a burb just kind of waiting there. Can we get some burbs in the chat, actually? I'm sure there's some burbs out there. And we use him to climb this wall, and actually, like, the hardest trick in the run is coming up right here. No joke, definitely not being sarcastic about this. We're going to use this bird for the absolute hardest trick in the game. Up over the top of this wall here. Let's hope I can get it. Oh, we missed it, and we got damaged. Oh, no. It's fine. We lost like 20 minutes just now, but it's fine. So, we're really good at naming things in the Odyssey community, aren't we?
No, but I mean,
I
that might just be me.
I admire your honesty. What was the name of that strat that I just did that was really hard?
Isn't it like Neo Timpani Poke Dram or something?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Fast Timpani
Yeah.
Neo Poke Dram.
Fast Timpani Neo Poke Dram. Okay.
All right. This is Fur's favorite fight, as he mentioned just a second ago. Ooh, and I actually just barely got that hit, so we'll take that. Man, I have actually messed up this phase of the fight the last like 3 times that I've done it. That's okay. Get that hit fast. So the goal of this fight, if you played this casually, you know that you're supposed to wait at his feet, and he drops a bird, and the bird you can use to climb his legs. And so then you can basically hit the bubbles with the bird. But with some platforming, you can manage to stay on the top the entire time. So that's what we try to do. And that last hit is especially important because he spends the rest of the fight stomping around, so if you miss him on the last hit there, you're kind of going to miss a lot of time. So, but that's it. That's the Robo Brutal fight, and we did get debated by Bowser. Bowser is not going to actually face us here. He's going to have his grand wedding on the moon instead.
What?
I know. Fascinating, right?
That's crazy.
I mean, there was no wedding chapel in his castle. We probably could have seen this coming. And boom. So just one quick little moon hiding behind the Odyssey before we leave. We're gonna go take care of that. And it's interesting to me, like, I only know where this is because I know where it is, but it doesn't glow, it doesn't really give any indication. Actually, no, that's not true.
Oh no, it's backwards.
It's backwards. I just noticed that as the cappy came off. So yeah. You gotta look for all the hints, I guess. And off to the Moon Kingdom. This is where the final showdown happens. And it's not the end of the game, though. We're not done, right? This speedrun is darker side. So this is only the light side of the moon. We're not even at the darker side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, still got some way to go.
We got some collecting to do. I think we have 144 moons right now, something like that. So still,
You're right around there, I think.
Still got about 2/3 of the moons to collect. And the cathedral's over there. This is where the boss fight happens, but we're going to go ahead and collect some moons on the moon, which is a little bit of a paradox, I suppose.
Indeed. Maybe moons are just a piece of the moon.
It could be. Then what are the moon rocks?
Could be.
Also pieces of the moon?
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's the Mario universe. Anything goes, really.
Yeah, basically.
I'm gonna do some tricky jumps here to get over this gorge. Using moon physics to our advantage a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the rocket flowers to our advantage as well. Moving around on the moon is kind of slow, so the fact that we have these to our disposal is very handy. And doing the famous moon cave skip, this trick was discovered on day 1, basically. and saved us a lot of time because we don't have to go into the moon cave for any reason at all in most speedruns. The only reason you would need to go in there is if you were collecting all of the moons, for example. Or you needed the purple coins or something like that. But otherwise, it's too slow for us, so we don't bother.
You've got a hot minute for some donations?
Yeah, let's hear them.
All right, we have 2 more people attaching their carriage to the $5 train.
Let's go.
One of them being
Yeah.
Jason Place, donating $5 and saying, "Burp shout, Jason Big Frog." Thank you so much for that. That's one more. And another one attaching $5 from Android of Pants Table.
Oh my god.
I have no idea how you come up with these names. To the person reading the donations, thanks for reading these. Hope you're well. Thank you. I am well, and I hope so are you. Please stay inside. Thank you guys so much for that, and maybe we can get the $7,000 with this $5 drain. Keep
Honestly,
it going.
yeah, all aboard the $5 train. Let's do it, guys.
Heck yeah.
I know exactly who is coming up with all of these names, too. Aiden of Passiville in the chat there. It's kind of a long-running gag that we make a play of words on their name because it's hard to pronounce Passiville for most people, so... Andrew of Pants Table is another common one. It's just, you'll probably see a handful more. Maybe some memers, who knows. Burb shout, Jason Big Frog, also very good. Alright, so this Bowser fight looks exactly like the Cloud one. The arena is basically a carbon copy. And the fight is basically the same. There's a couple more hats. But it actually, in my opinion, is a little bit easier because that phase with the firework is... It lets you get more time to set up for the phases. So you don't have to go rushing up to Bowser to try and get the hats back. So 3 hits, he's out, and now you think we'd be safe, but we actually gotta do one last thing. Beating up Bowser makes the moon explode for some reason, so now we have to escape, and we're actually gonna use Bowser to our advantage. And when I first played through this game as a casual, I kind of like saw this coming. I was anticipating this, and it was probably one of the coolest moments in the whole game for me. And it's a little bit scary because this part of the game, if we die at any point during the escape, we go all the way back to the beginning of the escape. So, you know, if we mess it up really bad, we could lose as much as like 2 minutes. But we're going to hope that we don't do that. This 2D section in particular has one trick in it that could mess us up. But hopefully we do all right. Go. That was what we call 2D skip. It just saves having to go all the way across and back again. Fireballs are shaking, by the way, so every time I wanted Bowser to spit a fireball, I had to shake the controller. Lots of motion controls in this game.
Yeah, with motion controls, there's usually like an alternative that doesn't involve motion controls, but it's almost always like slower. Like here with the fireballs, you can hold down a button to fire one,
That's
but
right.
you can't fire them nearly as frequently if you don't shake.
Yeah, that's right. So the same button, I think Y is the button that you would use, or X.
Yeah, it's the same button you would use to slash, except you just hold it.
Wasn't a very good aim with the fireball's dangerous, but that's alright. We made it happen. And I guess we're coming in probably like a 123.20 or something for the end. That's okay. That's not so bad. It's pretty decent. Just kind of starting pace. But in my opinion, Darker Side begins here. Like I said, the early game is very much just setup. This is where things pick up really fast. We're done 95% of the story elements, so there's not going to be any reason for cutscenes anymore. We're going to be taking the Odyssey very little. we're going to be going through those paintings that I mentioned before. So the game really ramps up here, and it doesn't slow down for anything. This is where we're going to be collecting moons rapid fire. Very little setup to do just in Mushroom Kingdom, but then we're on our way. And Mushroom Kingdom is a pretty cool little throwback. This game has a lot of like nods to the past. Obviously, the 2D section is a very Super Mario Brothers-esque feeling thing, and this whole kingdom here is like a Super Mario 64 throwback. All right. So yeah, like I said, just a little bit of setup in Mushroom Kingdom. Mostly these seeds. So there's a little flower garden over here. So we're just going to plant the seeds. Oh. Or we're going to try anyway. There we go. Now this toad here, standing at the front of the castle, is exclaiming that Princess Peach is missing and can't seem to find her. Even though we saved her, they can't seem to find her. So we need to talk to that toad, and that'll set off Princess Peach going on a little vacation. And every kingdom that she appears in, she gives us a power moon. So it's important that we talk to her, or talk to the toad in front of the castle to get Peach moving on her way. Just a little bit more setup. There was another hint art on the castle wall there. And then we're just going to get some power moons in the castle, and then we can begin our painting journey. See if I can do this without disrupting the bird. Nope, he ran away this time. Better luck next time. All right. Over the top of the hill, and this is our first painting here. So the painting chain does a loop. It goes from mushroom to mushroom, and it hits all the major kingdoms along the way, except for, I think, 5.
That sounds right.
So there are a couple of kingdoms off of the painting trail that we'll have to visit individually through the Odyssey, because there is no painting connection, but the other ones are all going to be connected via this painting, and this is where it starts. So the reason that achieving world peace is important is because it opens up the opportunity for moons later on. So every kingdom has what's called a moon rock in it, and you can kind of see it. Not from here. We're talking to Captain Toad, but off to my right side, now my left side, there is a moon rock. And if you open up the moon rock, it actually disperses a bunch of moons throughout the kingdom. And a lot of these moons are just really fast. A lot of them are just sitting out in the open, or they're extensions to things that you've already done. So opening up these moon rocks opens up really fast moons. So they only are available to you after you've achieved world peace. So achieving world peace in every kingdom is important for that reason. Now, Snow Kingdom, like I said, also those rooms with the hallways, if you remember from before that we skipped, each of those rooms gets an extra moon inside of them, so leaving all of that till our second visit was really important as well. Like this moon, for example, is a moon rock moon, and it's just kind of sitting right out in the open. And it's like super, super free. And if we hadn't achieved world peace, we wouldn't be able to get that. I think this one is too. This one is also. As you can see, they're kind of just like scattered about, really not very like expertly hidden, that's for sure. What's your favorite moon kingdom, or sorry, Snow Kingdom moon?
I thought you were going to say what my favorite moon rock moon, and I was going to be like, I can't even tell the difference.
Yeah. For you, they're all in the post game, so.
Yeah. Favorite Snow Kingdom moon. I don't know. Picking favorite moons is hard. There's so many.
There really is. And, you know, I think my favorite, we're actually not going to get it in this run, which is too bad, is the one for wearing the boxers.
I mean, that is a good one. It is in this kingdom.
We do have an incentive for that later, though, so.
Yeah.
All right. We're back in Shiveria, the town of the Snoodles, as we call them. I also want to hear what your favorite Princess Peach outfit is, because she's very styling in this game.
Oh, man. I don't remember which are which.
I mean,
I actually don't. There's...
a lot of
They're
people,
all good.
A lot of people advocate for the luncheon one, those overalls.
The overalls.
The overalls, they're very good.
Very styling.
All right, so this moon hanging up in the air, like I said, this one wouldn't actually be in here if we hadn't opened up the moon rock yet. So that is why. That is why we wait. Very free moon, just kind of chilling. The Bowser's one is a good choice too, Anon. I'm a big fan.
You've got a quick second for another carriage?
Yeah.
All right. We have a $5 donation from Stella Cat 123 saying, "Love you so much, Dangerous and Fair. Also, stay hydrated, everyone. Less than free." And that's another $5 in our $5 train to the 7,000. Now we only need $154 more dollars. So that's very doable until the end of the run. I'm pretty sure we can do that.
Yeah, no problem. Get those donations in. We're very, very close. Thank you, Stella Cat. All right. So if you played this room casually, you'll know that Rango actually lives here. Rango is one of the brutals that we're supposed to fight. He turns into a pile of mush and just kind of travels around the ground in the arena. That's because we skipped him and he was really sad. So he actually gives us 2 moons and we just kind of ground pound him out of oblivion. And then one more hallway. We don't actually do the 4th room because the 4th room is very, very slow. So we just kind of ignore that one's existence. Very good. And then that's the last of these little story moons that we're going to get here. And we can make our way back into the Bound Bowl arena, where Snoodle's going to be waiting for us. So get those guesses in the chat. Oh, ouch. Don't bonk there, Mario. What the heck? These little hat and seek moons. I'm pretty sure these hat and seek moons are also one of the achievements, the Toadette ones.
They might be.
Also, I debated you, chat. There's actually no race this time. I'm sorry to break your hearts like this. But like I said, 20 seconds is the maximum threshold, and that race is longer than that, so we won't be doing it again.
A lot of people actually posted numbers.
Yep.
Can't believe you did this to him, Dangers.
You can't believe it.
Yeah.
I'm tricky like that, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so this trick that I'm trying here, it's actually Fur's favorite trick in the whole run.
What do you mean it's my favorite trick in the whole run?
And I just had a feeling. I had a hunch that it was your favorite trick.
I don't know.
So I was talking about weird geometry. That trick takes advantage of weird geometry quite a lot. You can get your cap bounce back in certain circumstances, and if you like backflip and cap throw at the right time, you can kind of just like vault up the wall. And that's not how you're supposed to do it, but it does save a lot of time. So. All right, so now we're going to do the actual Dino Skip. Oh, or, I mean, we're going to try. We're actually going to smack our face on the side of the cliff first. Goes to show how much I actually have been doing Dino Skip lately. Oh my gosh, dude, I'm just ruining it for myself. Let's go. Third time's the charm, right? I need some momentum here. Give me the momentum. Yes, the speed. Very good, Dino. Yes, third time is the charm. So, coming into this kingdom, breaking the moon rock right away. Talk to our buddy Captain Toad. DSS has ruined me, says the chat. Yeah, it's true. I've skipped the dino too many times, I've forgotten how to do the easier trick. Now, I'm actually capturing and then just uncapturing that big chain chomp. And it seems like for no reason. Maybe you can explain why I did that.
So we were talking about those Toadette moons earlier, and there is one for the amount of unique captures you've gotten. And the game actually considers the big chain chomp a different capture than the smaller one. So if we capture him, we can up that counter by 1.
Exactly. And it just so happens that this run only needs 1 extra. So we just need to go out of our way to capture that. And he doesn't serve any actual practical purpose aside from giving us a Toadette moon later, which is really handy. Oh. Tried to do kind of a swaggy strat for you guys there, but I missed it, unfortunately. That's okay, though. I kind of just glazed over that last sub-area. That last sub-area really does give me the heebie-jeebies. The reason I got Fur to explain captures was because I could just kind of take my mind off of thinking about that sub-area, to be honest. It's probably one of the trickier ones. When you do a run that's this long, you kind of just like let your mind... for some reason, I don't know if you have this in all moons at all, Fur, but there's like one sub-area in every speedrun that I do, and it's a different one. But this speedrun, it's definitely that cascade one. It just kind of like makes my mind go blank and I forget what I'm doing. So I had to really focus on that.
I forget what I'm doing for the entirety of all moons runs, so I mean...
You just kind of go.
Yeah.
Hey, that's fair.
Pretty much.
All right, our friend Princess Peach. Give her a little talking. And then here. So this moon is actually a little bit more complicated than it would appear. I got it on the first try, but that doesn't always happen. Breaking open that rock is kind of just outside of the reach of that chain chomp normally, but like pulling him back in a certain way makes it possible. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Mario, don't do that. Don't give me a heckin' bamboozle. Okay, we're fine. That was almost tragic, but we're good. Very nice. And like I said, we're just kind of picking off moons, rapid fire here. Oh no! Oh boy! Oops. It's been a while since I've done that, that's for sure. Picking off moons rapid fire, so like, if you could imagine like a tick every 20 seconds, it's very, very unlikely that we would hear the tick twice in between 2 different moons. Like, that's... I did it again? Really? Dude, I'm hacking. I'm hacking it up. It's okay. We just need to go this way now. Nope, not there. There we go. Keep it rolling, keep it rolling. We got the moons. No big deal. The Curse of Cascade Kingdom. I'm telling you. I was able to focus on that sub area, but it made me forget how to do the rest of the kingdom, so. Take this dino on a little journey. There's actually a moon hiding underneath that light post there. Now this hint art was actually the very first hint art we looked at, the one in Lake Kingdom, finally coming into use. And you remember our friend, the tourist, he actually is taking a pit stop in Cascade. This is also his 3rd stop here. And don't forget, guys, about that $5 dono train. Has anybody else hopped on the dono train yet?
Well, we have a $25 donation from Tao, who says, "Thanks, Dangers and Fur. Love to see you together on run and commentary. Thank you very much for the donation. They've put it towards Celeste any % category change at the end of the marathon, which would be a very good place if you want to get your $5 into."
Yeah, thank you so much for the donations. So, Fur, what's the scariest post-game kingdom?
Scariest post-game kingdom?
Yep.
For darker side, I'm not too sure. I would assume Lost is pretty scary, even though it's, I think, shorter in this category. But other than that, maybe I don't know.
You know, I think Lost is a pretty good choice, to be honest. Lost is pretty spoopy. In the first visit, I mean, we use that purple poison to kind of warp ourselves around, but we don't have that luxury in the second visit, and we're not trying to do that on purpose. So, landing in the purple poison is instant death. Oh boy. So we gotta make sure that we avoid that. Why is this category called Darker Side, asks the chat, and that's a good question. Basically, it's because the final dungeon of this game, the final kingdom, is called Darker Side. So the objective is to get to that kingdom. Well, this is a really fun jump to show off. Kind of just take a little suicide dive off of the side of that platform and use what's called vectoring. Maybe you can explain vectoring a little bit, Fur.
So vectoring is this weird thing that happens when you're traveling at an angle through the air that makes you go a little bit faster. I couldn't exactly explain why it happens, but I know Mario Odyssey is not the only game that a trait like this occurs in. So it's just something weird with the physics engine in this game, as well as some other games you may have played in the past.
Yeah. And so if you travel in the air at a diagonal, if you're like constantly changing your trajectory in like a bit of a curve rather than a straight line, then you can change your velocity through the air as well. So Bowser's Kingdom is a very warpy kingdom. We're doing a lot of warps. We're trying to move around the kingdom really fast, so we gotta constantly be going from island to island, and the fastest way to do that is by warping. So you're gonna be seeing a lot of that. But honestly, like, Darker Side makes this game look like it's pieced together really smoothly, because it almost looks like we're going on an Easter egg hunt where we're following a trail of the moons, because it seems like they're perfectly lined up in a little path for us to collect. It almost seems too perfect, you know what I mean? They're just all there. Oh, where are you? There you are. Let's go. See if we can get this timer challenge. This one always looks really slick when you get it. Yeah, just like that. One of my favorite sub areas coming up here, probably just because we break it so much as speedrunners. If you played this game casually, you'll know that like the moon in this room is called the Jizo's Big Adventure, and this guy's the Jizo. And you can see these pathways to the left and to the right. The game kind of intends for you to go and take those paths. But if you have any keen sense of platforming at all, you can kind of just do this. You can set up the Cappy like this. Oh, not like that. What am I doing? I'll do a spin jump. There we go. And kind of just get up like that instead. You don't really need to complete the puzzle that it wants you to. Do you know if shopping moons is a Toadette achievement?
I want to say it's not.
I feel like it isn't.
But it might be.
They're pretty fast, I suppose. You kind of just stop into the shop and pay 100 coins. And coins are in pretty big abundance, so...
Yeah, definitely.
So we did mention there's not a lot of RNG in this game, but Spinies is one particular element of RNG where they stand can kind of be annoying. So I kind of had to do my best to try and avoid them as best as I could. I always thought it was kind of funny that like this game didn't really anticipate for you to be coming to this bird quite at that angle, like from around the wall like that, so it takes a long time for the bird to spawn in.
Yeah, I've always found that funny too.
Alright. We sent that bird plummeting to his death. I apologize, chat. I hope you didn't get too attached. Oh, the bird looked at me. Also another element of RNG. This bird and which direction he's looking at what times. If he's looking the opposite way, he won't see Cappy coming, and you can kind of just throw Cappy into him. Save a little bit of time. But there's also a really decent backup where you just stand where the bird spawns and go into first person, and it solves all your problems. So. Now we're almost done in Bowser's. Just one more moon we're going to collect, and it's this guy over here. And I know the game intended for you to stack up the Goombas in order to beat this guy. Oh my gosh, maybe I should stack up the Goombas. There we go. But you can platform your way up onto his head. You don't have to worry about that at all. And on to Seaside. And Seaside's a nice little relaxing stroll of sorts. Are there any no post-game bingo boards? I mean, regular bingo boards are no post-game. They kind of only go to Snow or Seaside usually, though. All right. So how you doing over there, Fur? How are things? How's life?
You know, I'm sitting here helping with commentary, you know, chilling.
You're gaming.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gaming. You're gaming. I'm commentating.
Ah, right. Close enough.
Yeah.
Though. You're the passenger seat gamer.
Yeah. Yeah, passenger seat, not back seating though.
No, of course not.
Nope.
Little warp here. So we've opened up the moon rock in this kingdom already, which is really handy. So a lot of this kingdom also feels really like nicely strung together. A lot of the paths that you take are just, they seem very natural. It's been a really tough thing trying to route this category now. So you have to have a really big brain to be able to do it, honestly. Shoutouts to the people who do route Odyssey, because it's not your typical, like, Mario game. You know, if you look at Super Mario 64, you look at Mario Galaxy or Super Mario Sunshine, the objectives in those games are pretty clear, and the levels are laid out in a way that, like, you go into them from the beginning and you get the star and it spits you back out, right? So routing has more to do with what stars are the fastest and getting those stars. But in this game, routing is a lot more complicated than that, because the game spits you out, you know, right where you left off. So if you want to route this game, you have to take into consideration where you're going next. You might be like, well, this moon is really fast from this location. But then you have to be like, well, is it also fast to get somewhere else? So in this particular category especially, like it was a huge undertaking trying to cut out the moons that weren't fast enough, trying to piece together the moons that fit into Toadette achievements. And so, huge shout out to Spike Vegeta. You guys probably are familiar with Spike Vegeta. Very popular kind of multi-game speedrunner content extraordinaire. He took on the challenge of routing Darker Side at the very beginning, and he was kind of the pioneer to routing this game at the very beginning. Kind of made the category what it is today. It's very fun. A lot of like his routing choices are still included in the run that we do today. But, you know, he went on to do his own things, and I think Neo, if you guys know Neo's kind of the unsung hero of Odyssey, in my opinion. He's done so much for this game in terms of routing. He's the kind of the big brain in all of the optimizations and plays of probably the last year in this game. He had the world record for a very brief moment in time, a couple months. And yeah, just really it really is a community effort, I think, is what I'm trying to say with this. Is that a lot of people have come together to make this run what it is. It's a lot of fun. And a lot of that is in part to people who have pieced the things together. And it's really, really not an easy task. Also, I kind of just glazed over the fact that we're out of bounds now. That's what we call the fish clip. And honestly, the easiest trick in the whole game. Fur, you have a tutorial on that trick, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, there's
I, in fact, do.
very good resources online for being able to figure out how you need to do that trick. It's really quite simple. If you start speedrunning this game tomorrow, I would recommend you probably learn 3 tricks. You learn how to do the moon cave skip, which is just that jump on the Sphinx's head, skipping the moon cave, saving 3 minutes or so. I would recommend you learn Dino Skip, which is just using the dinosaur capture to get up to Madame Brutal really fast and having to go through the 2D section, which is really slow. And I would recommend that you learn the Seaside clip, which is the one that I just did.
You forgot left side, though.
No, don't learn left side at the beginning. What are you doing?
That's what everyone who just started running the game asks me.
It's true. I get that a lot as well. But that's actually one of the harder tricks for you're gonna discourage everyone.
Yeah, don't learn left side, kids.
Wait until you're older. Now this is my favorite 2D area, Smile. Don't you love this place, Fur?
Yeah, it's alright. It's just chilling.
And this part is what makes it the worst. These notes and the Koopa and the platform, they all kind of are on a cycle of their own, and it makes collecting all the notes really annoying. I actually did a decent job. Usually I take damage. Usually I do. But we did all right. It's hard to do that fast, though, because of how just, like, obnoxious and random it is. And take a little fishy over here. Avoid the sea bacon. What's your favorite enemy in the game, Fur? And if it's not sea bacon, you're wrong.
All right, sea bacon.
Ah, yeah. I had a feeling that's not what you were going to say, though.
How do you know?
Just a hunch.
I mean, you might be right, but you also might be wrong.
Oh, true. I'll never know, I guess.
You won't?
I think I actually got this. Let's see. Yeah, we did. Let's go. So, that Ely boy, throwback to Super Mario 64, he usually kind of attacks and lunges at you as you approach his hole, but this game has a weird mechanic with the camera. Basically, in order for it to save memory space, it pretends things don't exist unless they're on camera, and that eel is one of those things. So by facing my camera down as I was approaching the hole and turning it up at exactly the right moment, I was able to trick the game into making the eel spawn at a different time, and I can get in and out of that hole without taking any damage. Chat wants to know what you were going to say for your favorite enemy. You don't have to say sea
I was
bacon.
thinking, I don't know. I was actually gonna ask you to define enemy
What does that mean?
because that's exactly what I'm trying to figure out.
Critters in the game that deal damage.
Deal damage. All right, so that rules out the tree.
Yeah, the tree's not an enemy. That's a capture.
Probably the Pokio.
Pokio's a good lad. And also a good capture. Alright. So now we're in Wooded Kingdom. And if you remember, we actually haven't achieved world peace here. So the painting spit us out at the very top of the kingdom, which is handy, because we can just make our way over here and complete the story elements. All we gotta do is bust open this spinny thing. It's throwing bombs at us. And fight our last fight. And this will be the point of the run where we actually achieve world peace finally.
Heck yeah.
After 2 hours. Now this boss fight also probably seems pretty linear, if you guys have played this casually. This here is Torque Drift, and they're just kind of an interesting spaceship creature that steals flowers from the world. That's its main purpose in life. Ooh, I actually got the speediest of Nut Boys in the first phase, so that doesn't happen very often.
It's a good feeling when it does, though.
It is. In the very first phase, I already have fully upgraded Nut Boy. So this is the Speedy Nut Boy. Basically, when you capture one of these, they're called uproots. They're very slow. They jump not very far, and when they land on the ground, they kind of buffer and they like stop moving for a second before they continue running. But using that spawn platform that comes built in to every uproot, you can jump on it and off of it in certain ways that kind of manipulate the way that it moves. So now you can see that he's jumping quite far, and when he hits the ground, he just keeps running. He doesn't stop running. That was all manipulated. And so that's about the only way that you can really speed up this fight. There's no breaking the sequence or anything. We're just kind of waiting for these phases to happen, hitting these glowing orbs at the fastest possible moment. And that's all we can really do. And there we have it. We've achieved world peace.
Heck yeah.
Have we received any more donations?
We've got 2 very generous donations. We've got a $15 donation from Super41189 who says, great runs and great event. And a $16.28 donation from Adrian of Panten who says, $16.28 for Cascade Kingdom Coupe for free running. Get your guesses in. Wait, wrong category. And with that, we are over 6.9k. Chat, could we hit 7k before the end of Danger's awesome Mario Odyssey run? I believe we could.
Yeah, we've got a little over an hour left. And $100. I think we can do that. If we keep that $5 train rolling, easy. All right. Wooded Kingdom looks nice and bright and sunny now that we've achieved world peace. So we can make our way over to the Moon Rock. Just a couple quick moons along the way. So now, I know chat, all right? I know that chat is a bunch of memers. We might be close to 7,000, but you know what we're even closer to? 69. So, like, if we don't get there, I'm going to be pretty sad. All right. So remember that very convoluted story I told earlier about choosing wooded first to change the order of the paintings? It was all for that hint art. That hint art that I just looked at, that was the reason. That hint art reveals a moon in the Sand Kingdom. Oh no. Oh boy. That sucks. I got my input eaten, chat. That's okay. So yeah, that hint art reveals a moon in the Sand Kingdom, and because Sand Kingdom comes after Wooded, if we choose Wooded first, let's just look at that hint art now. There we go. Second time. Second tries the charm. Use the tank to blow up some stuff. Now, Wooded is kind of a scary kingdom to run in because you remember at the very beginning of the first visit, we went to a place called the Deep Woods, and the Deep Woods is always there. The Deep Woods is always kind of waiting for us to venture in, and we don't want to be in the Deep Woods because it's not easy to get out of there. Oh. So we always kind of have to keep that in the back of our minds, like, don't fall into the Deep Woods. Oh boy. Also, there's a lot of very technical jumps in this kingdom. There we go. Third time's the charm. Including this one. Remember I said don't fall into the deep woods? Well, we're just going to do a death-defying jump to get over to this platform. Oh boy. Okay. And that jump is really cool because it skips having to get up to what's called the observation deck the normal way. The observation deck is the very top of the kingdom, and it usually requires like a timer challenge on the backside. Takes forever. So by jumping over to Captain Toad like that, we just get a free pipe to take us there and get to avoid all that. All right. Little Goomba love. Now the Deep Woods begins scaring us right here. It is right underneath us where we are now, so we have to be very careful not to misstep. quite high enough, but it's hanging in there. We got that. Now, I like this sub-area coming up. Do you, Fur? This is one of my favorites.
It's cute. It's alright.
This one's actually been known about as like a speedy sub-area for a long time. Mostly because it's based on a cycle. And the cycle has always kind of been the same, so as long as you're within the cycle in this room, which is just that, then you're going to be good to go. Now, after this warp, I have to introduce something called the birds. Can we get some burbs in the chat, actually? So, there are a lot of moons associated with birds in this game. This moon in particular, the bird that we want is flying around the kingdom in a big loop. And the loop is huge, but every time you warp or every time you die, the bird goes back to the beginning of its loop. So it's kind of on a global cycle in a sense. So after that warp, everything that we're doing is calculated. Everything that we're doing is timed in such a way that when we get to the finish of this section, we're going to meet face-to-face with the bird. So I also have to make sure that I don't mess anything up. I have to make sure that I'm going at my, I guess, optimal speed. Because if I slow down at all, it's gonna heck me up. And I'm gonna miss my friend. I gotta race the bird. Oh boy. Man, I missed my moon shard, so we're gonna have to catch this bird. We'll probably be able to get him within the timer challenge, but not optimal. Usually, what I try and do is I'll try and catch him in the air. You'll see what I mean in a second. He's there, so. Yeah, he's going to be like right up in our face, but we'll still get him. Yeah, I see he's right here. I took a little bit longer on that than I'd like to, usually. Usually he's kind of a bit further back, and I can catch him like right in the air, right around here. It's really risky, but it also is like the most optimal thing you can do for the cycle. But we still got him, so we don't have to back that moon up at all. Alright, and another really cool sub-area here. I know, like, this is one of the sub-areas in the game that got, like, a remake in the Dark Side Kingdom. If you guys know the Dark Side has a bunch of sub-areas that get, like, remade, except they come with a quirk, like you have to be Yoshi or you get your cap stolen. And I know it's a really tough one for a lot of people to do this sub-area with your cap stolen. Yep. Grab the side of that wall for some reason. And we're almost done with Wooded Kingdom. Just a couple more moons to get on our way out. I love that movement. I don't know what it is. There's something very satisfying about that. What do you feel about Sand Kingdom, Fur? Is it a good kingdom? Good speedrunning kingdom?
It's usually one of the longer ones, at least in all moons, just because there's a ton of moons in it.
There is.
So I think that's pretty nifty. But a lot of it's very, like, empty, because it's so big.
It's true. There's actually, I always kind of criticized Sand Kingdom because, like, the bottom, like, southwest part of the map is just nothing. There's, like, 2 moons and 3 purple coins over there.
Yeah, something like that.
It's kind of boring, but where the moons are is pretty exciting stuff. But here we are, Sand Kingdom. And the moon rock is conveniently, like, right there, so just going to grab this one hiding in the dune before I go over there. Did Nintendo forget how to use numbers for the main collectible? That's a good question. I'm not really sure why they decided to do it that way. But I think it has a lot to do with the fact that the game doesn't really want to count the moons until they're put into the Odyssey. So they're kind of just like put into your pocket in a more visual way. And I guess this is the way they decided to do it. I mean, it does make for kind of hilarious display. I also think that they probably didn't anticipate people doing what we do, where we go around every kingdom and we just collect them en masse. Listen to the Ruined Dragon music again. Little banger for you guys. So you'll see that I pet my friend the doggo a second ago, and he went off running in a random direction. I've actually been trying to keep my camera pointed in this direction because of that little quirk that we mentioned earlier where things don't appear unless they're on camera. So I fit all that stuff in the town in between him going and running off and us meeting up with him to dig up the moon. So that's what makes the dog fast. And yeah, you'll notice that that moon count that we were just talking about, actually, the moon counter is now reading ... at the end. The game has decided, you know what, that's enough. You've collected enough moons, we're not counting anymore. Alright, so this is actually another bit of interesting camera work that I'm doing here. You might not notice it yet, but over on that, in this purple swamp area over here, there's a bird. And they're flying around the kingdom. And this bird, for some reason, only activates if you are facing your camera towards it. So I'm spending a calculated amount of time facing my camera towards that poison swamp over there. And so that he is in a nice position for me when I need to get the moon from him later on. You can see he's flying around the side here. And that's perfect. He's exactly where I want him to be. Good burb. Yep. It's all about the burbs, chat. You always got to be thinking about the burbs. I know I am. He's actually a little bit further off to the side than I want, but that's okay. That'll do. And the reason that we wanted him to be here is so that after we initiate this timer challenge, we can just go around this way, get his moon, get this moon, and then the timer challenge moon, all within the same timer challenge. It obviously kind of optimizes them all together. And, you know, I think top 3, we were talking about captures earlier. You know, the fir tree, definitely a good choice. The meat capture,
of course.
The meat capture, excellent. But what about the cactus?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's
solid,
up there.
Solid A-tier capture right there. Boom. The Oasis has a handful of moons for us, including our second fishing moon. Bless RNG. Hope the Lakitu is not mean to me. He's in Argentina right now, so we got to chase him down. There we go. Could have been worse, I suppose. Ooh, that was slick. It's not very often that I get that with one spin throw, but I'll take it. All right, another cycle. Sand Kingdom is full of cycles, lots and lots of cycles. One of them is this tower. As soon as we warp this bullet bills, they're firing off in a specific pattern. And if I do everything just right, they should line themselves up for me to do a pretty cool little trick here. Grab this moon from the bottom so I can jump right away. And just like that. Skip's having to go over to the side. What piece of movement do I wish was more integrated into categories? I mean, that's kind of hard, I guess. More people should be brave enough to do IP skip. I'm just looking at you for...
I run all moons, a category that it wouldn't even save time in.
Yeah, you should do it anyway, though. Do it for the swag points, you know?
No, I would lose time.
Do it for the swag points.
No.
You know, there's this whole XD skip meme that should die. We should replace it with the IP skip meme.
That would be even worse.
You're right, it would. Jaxie's a very good boy. And the reason that we paid for him earlier was because he is very fast, and he's going to be kind of our chaperone through the Sand Kingdom, so we're going to be using him to our advantage. He is very speedy, takes us everywhere we need to go. So Sand Kingdom is a pretty vast and open area. But Jaxie helps us close the gap on map a little bit. Now, little known fact is that this sub area can be cheesed, just like absolutely ridiculously. You don't need to do any of the bullet bill puzzles at all. You can kind of just run on the ceiling. I don't know why they made it so easy to do that, but, you know. I won't complain. Definitely a speedrunner's benefit there. Also, another little cheese. Do not need to do that timer challenge at all the way that it's intended. You can kind of sneak your way into the under portion of it. Alright, very important part coming up here. Fur, do you know about this? Most important part of the run.
I'm trying to think of what you could mean.
Okay.
I don't know how the route goes here, so...
Well, we got it, so it's okay.
Okay.
We need to bully the sheep because they're the worst moons in the game.
I mean...
Am I wrong, though? Am I wrong, though?
They're not that bad.
They're pretty bad.
They're easy peasy.
Yeah, okay. I'll make sure to remind you of that when the next time you're doing mushroom sheep.
Alright.
Worse than jump rope? Oh, well, jump rope's not that bad in my opinion. Volleyball, though. Volleyball's a heck. I'm really glad that we don't have to do volleyball. You know, I don't mean to dig on all moons, but I've always described Darker Side as all moons with all of the bad stuff taken out. Because it kind of feels that way.
Well, Dangers, you're going to need to find somebody else for the rest of commentary. I'm sorry.
Dude, he's offended. Fur, I'm so sorry.
No, you aren't.
Hey, all moons is a good category. It just has some bad stuff in it. Darker Side's a good category. It doesn't have any bad stuff in it.
What about IP skip?
Hey, I inflict that upon myself, all right? All right. And this timer challenge looks really scary, but luckily I know where the bridges are, so no need to panic, chat. I'm going to take a little swim in the poison swamp. And that's just to get here a little faster. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. See if I can get this dram strat. I've been practicing this a little bit. It's a little tricky, though. We'll see. Let's assume that I got that. Nope. Oh, I messed it up. I accidentally hit him too early. That's okay. Basically, what I can do, that bullet bill is wearing a visor. You can knock the visor off on the first pass. And then you can throw Cappy again on when you grab that second moon and do another dram strat to kind of capture the bullet bill and get sent on your way without having to climb all the way back up like I had to there. Saves a little bit of time. And with that, off to Metro Kingdom.
Hey.
Yeah. Metro
Yeah.
is actually surprisingly short. There's a lot of moons in this kingdom, but we don't really get very many of them because they're locked away in sub-areas. So we get a lot of the surface level moons in this run, and also some of the faster sub-areas. And first thing we're going to do is take a little scenic trip around this little park, this little plaza. Shoutouts to the train outside. I don't know if you guys heard that, but yeah. So this moon, we were talking about captures earlier. I think the only reason this binoculars moon is actually in the route is because it is a capture. That moon took like 700 years to get to the mainland, so barely fast enough, but it does help with the whole capture thing, so. That was interesting. Oh, come here. So you're also noticing that I go into first person sometimes. That's not just me accidentally pressing the wrong button. There is a purpose for that. Fur, do you want to explain why first person is a thing?
So the reason for it is, for whatever reason, the way the camera will like pan to like the angle you're talking at somebody at will sometimes go faster if you go into first person before talking to the person. So we'll do that sometimes throughout the run because it all adds up and saves a little bit of time.
That's right. And sometimes it's NPCs, sometimes it's things like, we actually do it like right at the very beginning of the run when we pull the lever to reveal the bridge in Cap Kingdom. It just like, the camera pans really slowly to a certain position before the animation happens, before talking to an NPC, for example. So we can actually eliminate that pan completely by going into first person sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I kind of just glazed over the RC car moon. That's probably the first time anybody, or some people, have ever seen the scooter clip. But yeah, the scooter has hidden motion controls. Basically, if you tilt your controller left or right, you can make the scooter tilt just a little bit more. And if you time your tap on your control stick at just the right time and tilt your controller over, then you can actually get Mario's big fat nose right in the cage and avoid having to do the moon the intended way. Oh. Mario, what the heck? There we go. He just did not want to climb that wall at all. A little more capture warp strats going on here. And I guess this one's kind of also just a cute little capture warp strat there. That's honestly, that little chunk right there, trying to get up to Princess Peach, is the laggiest part of the game. You just have to like press your inputs and hope for the best. There you are. Hidden at the cafe. And yeah, as you can see, they're kind of like almost like a little breadcrumb trail left by Hansel and Gretel. The moons just honestly just line themselves up perfectly. This is another sub-area. This sub-area actually is faster for the post-game as well because there's this third moon hiding in here. It's a little bit of a tricky one though. You gotta find the guy. You can actually fit him into that timer challenge if you're speedy. Now, some of you who have played this game, you might be thinking back to Metro Kingdom, and you might be thinking back to this commemorative park, and thinking, you left a moon here, Dangers. There's that pile of junk. If you ground pound that, you get a moon. I actually left it on purpose, and the reason is because there's this doggo. And this doggo takes a little while to sniff. He's a very curious being. So we gotta wait for him to do his sniff. But while we're waiting for him to do his sniff, we can do other things. We lead him over here for the moon spot. We get this bird, and we can get the trash moon. And we can do all of that while we're waiting for the dog to do his thing, and it actually makes the dog a little bit more valuable. And then we come back in. We probably have some time for some donations if you want to read those, if you got any.
Certainly. I'd like to remind everybody that we are ESA Together, and we are a week-long online marathon that will feature speedrunners and score attackers from all around the world. By donating to ESA Together, you'll be supporting the future of ESA. All donations will go directly towards supporting the running of future events for you to enjoy, and we are currently trying to get to 7k with a $5 donation train. And if you're wondering what you could potentially put your money, why not go for another high-octane platformer with Celeste? At the very end of the run, we are trying to change the category from any percent to true ending, and you could always put your $5 donation towards that. Let's try and get to 7k.
Let's try indeed. I think we're less than 100 away, so not very far. And just a little over 40-ish minutes to go, so I think we can do that.
Yeah.
So Metro has a lot of sub-areas, but some of them are really fast. And this is actually one of my favorite sub-areas in the game. When you do it fast, it is very satisfying. Just like that. Oh, make sure you don't hit the bad boy on the way out. And now, very, very small bird cycle. After this warp, we do have to be very careful what we do with our camera and our speed here. I'm going to do a turnaround on the camera really fast like that. Get this moon out of thin air. And we're going to try our best to land on this light post. And you can see that the bird is actually just like flying right into our face there. So. And speaking of sub-areas, we got one more left in Metro before we can leave. I messed up this room in the last marathon, and it looks like I just kind of jinxed myself again there, but that's okay. We'll have to do the backup. This is a sub-area that actually gets featured in any %, because if you are fast enough in this room, you can do a bullet bill cycle, and you can kind of capture a bullet bill really, really fast and kind of zip through this room without having to climb up to the top like I just did. And that's it. Like I said, Metro's a pretty small visit. It seems like a pretty big kingdom, and you would think you'd get a lot more moons here, but a lot of them are tucked away in places that are kind of uncomfortable to grab, so mostly sub-areas. Also, I did the thing that I'd never do. I dumped my moons into the Odyssey. You're not supposed to do that yet, by the way. So we get a little preemptive moon dump.
You were supposed to, yeah?
Yep, sure.
Yep.
All right. That's okay. Just a little update on how many moons we have. Quite a lot. Last time we checked the Odyssey, we had 144. Now we have 364. So we're well on our way. In fact, that's like basically perfectly 250 from the last one, isn't it? No, my math is wrong. 220. It's okay. We still have some painting chain to do, so we're not done yet. All right. We still need a couple more before we're supposed to moon dump. That's okay. Now this is the final fishing moon in the whole run. And this fish is probably my least favorite because he likes to run into the wall. He actually was kind of nice to me this time. He kind of came off the wall a little bit. Second bite. You really can't ask for much better than that. We're going to get some more speedy moons on our way over to the moon rock, which is situated right on that platform on the right side there. I tried to pan my camera over. Also, Luigi's hanging over there. Luigi's a pretty rad guy. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, he is. Heck yeah.
All right. There he is. Precious Bean Luigi. Now, Lake Kingdom is a very compact kingdom. There's a lot of moons in here. It doesn't really seem like there should be because it's small, but they go really fast because there's not a whole lot of space to really move in this kingdom. So we get them really, really fast. Also, Goomba physics. I love them so much. Goombas are very, very easily manipulated in their momentum. All you have to do is jump on slopes, and they will just, fly. They will go on a heckin' journey through the air.
They zoom.
They zoom, they sure do.
Yeah.
I also like Lake Kingdom because of the sub-areas. This was one of my favorite sub-areas in the game. Very stylish-looking one when you go fast. Yeah, just like that. Now, this room obviously wants you to use the frogs. I actually find it a little bit harder to do this room with the frogs. But yeah, easy as that. Peach's outfit in this kingdom is pretty good too. Can't lie.
It is.
Also, any excuse I can get to include a speed or a spin jump for any reason is one I'm gonna take.
Understandable.
'Cause you don't see those very often.
You really don't.
So Mario has this weird mechanic with water. He will automatically go into a diving animation if Mario senses that he is over the water. He also does it if he's coming out of like those wind, like tornadoes and stuff that you saw in Snow Kingdom. But you can manipulate that, and you can just like dive out of them again, so you can get some weird momentum going on. So that's what I did there. A lot of people actually don't know that you can just like capture a Cheep and bring them into this little underwater well to avoid taking any damage getting all the way down here. It's obviously a lot faster too. Fish are a lot faster in the water than some Italian plumber boy. And again, moving right along. I guess this kingdom isn't as long as I anticipated. It kind of is broken up into two parts. One is the actual lake part, and the other one is over by the Odyssey, kind of on the beach. And we're almost done, actually, so...
Yeah. How you feeling about the run so far?
It's definitely not my best. We've definitely seen some interesting slip-ups already so far, but...
Yeah.
We might still... I mean... This category still has a long way to go with people grinding it to the absolute optimal point, because it is so long, you know, and you're doing intense platforming for a really long time, so... But that being said, like, 307 run that I have is pretty decent, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think that we might be, like, maybe 3 minutes off of that at this point. We'll see.
Hey, well, we can make that time back, right?
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Speaking of lake sub-areas that I really like, this one. This one's also very fun. Just the movement in it kind of makes me laugh. Ground pounding to your certain doom just to save yourself, and like just all of the jumps and stuff are just really tricky as well. But that's it. That's Lake Kingdom. We've warped, and we're off, and on to luncheon. Now, this category is kind of weird. The way that it works out, we have to visit a kingdom 3 times, and it's either got to be Mushroom or it's got to be Luncheon. And if it's Mushroom, it's because we do the painting chain fully, right? We go from Mushroom all the way through the painting chain back to Mushroom, and then we dump our moons in the Odyssey in Mushroom, and then we do like the kingdoms that aren't attached to the painting chain, which is like Cap and Lost and Moon, and then we go back to Mushroom after. So we either do that, or we break up Luncheon into 2 pieces. We break up this last visit to Luncheon into a couple pieces, and then finish Luncheon later on and come through the painting and go to Mushroom at the end. And the reason that we do that instead of doing Mushroom 3 times is because it all just has to do with text, really. There's a bit of text in between visiting kingdoms that has to do with like obtaining items in the shop. After a certain amount of items after a certain amount of moons collected, you get to unlock things in the shop, and we get 1 less text box for shop availability if we do Luncheon 3 times. It's weird. It's hard to explain. It's another one of those tricks that like saves a lot less time than it takes to actually explain what's going on. So we're only going to do half of our Luncheon revisit and leave the rest for later. This is a very good sub-area, though, this Forks one. This one has been in, like, basically every speedrun. I guess World Peace is one that doesn't do it. But getting up to the top of this sub-area, very fast. And we're gonna get some moons in the back part of Luncheon again here. You can see Captain Toad in the distance down there. That's gonna be our final stop before we do our real moon dump, where we were actually supposed to do it.
gonna be kind of underwhelming now, huh?
Maybe a little bit. I hope you guys got your moon dump fill. Because this one won't be quite as good. It'll probably be about 30 moons. Okay. Bit of a scary jump here. Just to get over to Captain Toad. Take a little damage boost, but that's okay. We got here before Cappy even did, so pretty fast stuff. And then on to the Odyssey. And again, this is where the moon dump is supposed to be, but gonna be a little bit underwhelming. Just a little baby dump. I think I'm missing a moon. That could be a problem. That's okay, we'll figure it out.
There are a few backups you can get.
Yeah, there are. Where am I going now? Cap Kingdom. 395. I'm trying to remember if that's the right number or not. I don't think so, though. Makes me wonder if I, like, missed an entire sub-area. But that's okay. There are backups. Alright, Cap Kingdom and Lost Kingdom are actually kind of scary ones. Mainly because we do a lot of death-defying jumps. Like this one. So that's just to get over to the Moon Rock. That's all that's for. Alright. There we go. Cappy is doing a little something weird there. We actually use that sign to give the Goomba a little bit of height so that we can boost ourselves up here. Doesn't really look like we're doing a whole lot, but it is important. And another death-defying jump here. What looks like jumping into the abyss until we give our cap away to the Scarecrow. Just in time for us to land. And it skips having like half a cycle go by. Okay, I think I am missing a moon, so I'm going to go ahead and get a backup here. Just in case. Aiden says in my PB I had 395 leaving luncheon, so it's possible that I am doing okay. I trust Aiden, actually, so you know what? That moon is cool and everything, but we're going to leave it right there. We're going to take the risk. We're just going to go for it. Oh, I actually didn't visit the shop as well. That's kind of a heck. It's okay. We can back that up as well. You thought you couldn't buy moons? You can buy one of every moon. It's unique moons, right? So each shop has a unique moon in it. So the Cascade shop has a unique moon. The Cap shop has a unique moon. The moons that you can't buy are the ones that are after that. So you can buy more than one moon from the same shop. So if I bought 2 Cap Kingdom shops... Oh, wait, I already bought that one. What am I doing? What am I doing? Dangers? I'm getting all bamboozled. I'm trying to come up with backups when I don't need them. And go talk to Captain Toad here. Now we do a little another death-defying jump here to get this moon, and it is hanging out in the fog. Pretty sure the intended way is to take a Paragoomba all the way over. But we don't do that. All right, so this part of the run is actually kind of scary. Can we get some more burbs in the chat?
Or
Burp. I don't know if you guys can hear it. So we're obviously in the midst of the whole COVID thing happening right now. There have been some cities that have taken up a cheer for our medical responders and workers. I don't know if your city is like that for...
no, I haven't heard of anything like that, at least.
But basically what happens in my city anyway, and I live downtown, so anybody who lives in an apartment building, what they'll do is they'll stick their hands out the window, or their heads out the window, and they'll cheer at 7 p.m. every single night to kind of congratulate and cheer on our first responders and anybody working in the medical field, as they are obviously the true heroes of what's going on right now. They're putting in a lot of work while we all do our best in our part, which is to stay home and not make it any worse than it already is. So it's been kind of an interesting, surreal moment to like be a part of that, I guess, witness that. It is 7 p.m. currently where I live, so I can hear them cheering outside. It just reminded me of that. Now, I think, you know what? I'm going to take the risk. So this bird cycle, actually, you know what? I can't. I think this bird is going to be flying away. This bird cycle, I can actually do this a little bit faster. I can, if I'm fast enough in all of that other part, like after the death warp, what I can do is I can let that bird pass. I can let that bird fly by, and I can do this music notes moon, and then I can give the bird the chase and line him up basically in between the mainland and this moon up ahead. But I was a little bit slow, and if I had waited, if I had tried to leave the bird in this situation, he would have been like long gone. He'd be in, you know, he'd be in Brazil over on the other side of the world. So, but that's it. We've got all the moons in Cap Kingdom. And off to Lost Kingdom now. And honestly, I think that you're probably right, Fur. I think this is the scariest kingdom in the run.
Yeah, there's lots of places you can die. So,
Yes.
yeah.
We spend about half of this. We spent about half of this kingdom just suspended over the purple poison, which of course is like an immediate death. If you check the world record video, Aiden, I didn't miss a moon. I wouldn't have in the world record video. So if I did have 395 at the end, then we should be good. All right. Princess Peach. You know, this explorer outfit also very much suits her. I think it's a very good one. She rocks everything, let's be real. We could spend all day talking about what the best Peach outfit is, but, you know, she slays no matter what she's wearing.
Exactly.
Okay. So this part doesn't seem too bad, right? You know, it's just there's solid ground underneath us. It looks pretty safe. Don't know what you're complaining about, Dangers. Oh, right. There it all is. First thing we're gonna do is go into this little alcove and talk to Captain Toad. I love his little dance when he gives you the moon, by the way. He's a very, very wholesome lad. And And then this entire portion, we're just going to be spending suspended over the purple poison. And the greatest part about these little stumps is that they do not have wall jump collision. So I can't really save myself. Like, if I miss a jump by being just a little bit too far off to the one side, sucks to be me, basically. There we go. I can't use, like, the side of the stump to wall jump or anything like that. It's just kind of have to deal with it, basically. Alright. Now, this moon is intended for you to get with a Wiggler. You're supposed to just, like, stretch the boy out and get him, but we can just use a couple spin throws. Do it that way instead. And the Wiggler is supposed to help with that bunny as well. You can just kind of stretch along the entire length of the thing to get him, but we can also just do that. So... And this moon we cheese as well. Honestly, this whole thing is so scary because you're just kind of doing everything the unintended way. You're supposed to knock the stairs down and then kind of aim the boy in the right direction, but we can avoid doing that entirely. We can just kind of do it all in one motion. And yeah, that timer challenge is quite generous, so we're going to fit in another moon into the timer challenge. And that's it. That's all. We're right by the Odyssey, right where we need to be. And we can head on over to the next kingdom. And the next kingdom is Moon. So we're going to take a revisit to Moon Kingdom. Like we mentioned before, it's kind of a sprawling, spread out kingdom. It's really slow to move around. The only reason that we revisit Moon Kingdom is for a couple things. There's some setup involved here. Like, we looked at a hint art earlier that shows up in Moon Kingdom. So it's good to get. And also, this just so happens to be the last stop or one of the last stops for our tourist boy. So he gives us a moon and goes to another kingdom where we can get another moon from him. So it's important for us to get that. Also, all the moons here are, like, nestled right within the Odyssey. Like, we just do a tiny, tiny little loop around the Odyssey, and we're right where we need to be. Just barely nudge that moon there at the top. And then there's a lurker in the crater, so we get him. The lurkers have actually been nice to me today. Fur, what would you say about the lurkers? Aren't they fun? Aren't they great?
No, they're not.
And why not? I thought they were really good
'Cause
friends.
They have these really weird hitboxes on them where it looks like you're going to hit them, and then Mario's booty just slides to the side instead of actually hitting it.
Yep. Exactly. You can be, like, dead on, too, and they'll just not register the hit at all. Okay. We're doing all right, chat. Doing okay. We're in Luncheon. So this is Luncheon 3. We've returned, left right back off where we left off before. Let's collect some moons. Now, probably one of my favorite sub-areas is coming up, but also one of the scariest ones.
Why is it one of the scariest?
You're about to find out.
Ooh.
So we kind of have to do like a death-defying jump there to not only get up here a little bit faster than the cannons would, but also to preserve our Podoboo so that we can just like immediately jump into the second cannon to get to the next part. And if you do this the intended way, or anywhere close to the intended way, it is way slower than doing that. So, saves a lot of time, but pretty risky. I always clench a little bit when I have to do that sub-area. I always shoot the spiny for good luck. And this is another one of those, like, the moons almost seem like they're perfectly aligned. It's almost too good to be true situations. Because you just kind of go from where the Odyssey is. Oh, that was close. I didn't get any momentum there. You go from where the Odyssey is all the way into town, just picking up moons here and there. And it's almost as if they were meant to be collected in this order. Like, it just... It's hard to deny that the routing is just like... It's almost like the game is doing it for you, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. A little timer challenge here. And get your sour pleases ready in the chat. We're about to experience a banger. Cappy, hello. Thank you. Music Toads, of course, giving us the tunes. I'm pretty sure what Captain Toad asks for is becoming a monster is the theme that they're looking for.
Yeah.
So, because this particular track is associated with the escape where we are Bowser. They're calling Bowser a monster, which is kind of rude, IMO, but like, it counts. So we get to listen to this banger for the rest of luncheon. Yeah, another track that works is track 4, which is the dinosaur track, but it's not a banger. That is the opposite of a banger. And yeah, we kind of, like I said, it just feels like the moons are just meant to be in this order, you know what I mean? They're just so perfectly aligned. This is Princess Peach in her stylish overalls. Also a very good look.
Indeed, yeah.
And we are approaching the end of this run. We probably have about 10 to 15 more minutes, I guess. 15 more minutes. So if you guys wanted to continue that $5 hype train, you wanted to get up to 7,000, or, you know, like I said, 69, that'd be pretty dope as well. Running out of time, gamers. Make sure to support ESA and all the events that you guys love for speedrunning. Makes these things possible to happen in the future. All right. Making our way through here. Oh, we missed the boy. That's okay. That is okay. We're actually almost out of luncheon. After we do luncheon, we're just going to take a pit stop into Mushroom Kingdom. We're going to visit our friend Toadette after a couple quick moons, and then we're on our way. We've done it. So... And then we'll be able to find out for sure if I was panicking Cap Kingdom for nothing. I'm not sure. I think our moon count should be right. But
Let's hope so.
let us hope so. If not, there are some things I can do in Mushroom to compensate.
Indeed.
There we go. Now this moon is a very, like, climactic finish to luncheon. Let's hope I can get this jump. Oh, I almost avoided damage too. Just about. That's okay. No, I didn't get it. It's okay. We'll try again. This jump is really tricky. You kind of have to abuse a mechanic in this game. You can actually like jump off of platforms even though you aren't standing on them anymore. It gives you a lot of like leeway, I guess. You can perform a jump basically after you've already like run off of a platform completely, as you can see there. And that way you can build up your entire speed. Like, by no actual physics should that have actually been accomplished, but the jump still went through, so we take those. All right. Whoa. You know, I'm looking at the donations right now, and something must have happened. Do you guys wanna read out some donations here?
Yeah. I was just about to ask if we had time because we have a exceptionally generous and amazing $500 donation from Pokey W, who simply says Pokey W. Thank you so very, very much. And with that, we've kind of blasted over 7K and we're almost at 7.5K.
Just like that.
Thank you so very much.
That is insane.
Thank you, Pokey W. Shoutouts to you. I know exactly who you are. Very generous bean who has supported a lot of Super Mario Odyssey content and events, as well as a lot of speedrunning marathons in general. So thank you so much. Shoutouts to Pokey W. I don't know if any Pokey subs are in the chat, but... yeah, that's a huge jump. Big support. Shoutouts. All right, Captain Toad. So yeah, this kingdom is a little bit weird because it claims that we're collecting moons. These are moons, right? I think so. You can't actually see it. It used to be that we played in Japanese. Japanese used to be what we thought was the fastest language, and now it's Chinese, which we should have known earlier, to be honest, but we kind of just didn't know. Japanese used to show "you got a moon" in English, and even these were considered moons. And I mean, they are, right? They look like moons to me. All right. There's only one really kind of scary thing left. I've got this Goomba boy. He's gonna scare away this toad. Hi! But remember that Goomba momentum I was talking about earlier? You can kind of use it to jump over this gap. This gap, obviously not how you're supposed to get this moon. The intended way is to drain the moat by pulling all the pegs and then stacking up all the Goombas. And so that, you know, you can make a stack tall enough to talk to the Lady Goomba, but we don't have time for that. And just like that, that is all the moons we needed. And if my math is right, we do have the right amount of moons, so we are okay. Now begins our talking with Toadette. And do you want to remind us what Toadette's all about, Fur?
Oh man, I don't think I want to. I'll be honest. I'm not looking forward to this.
Why not?
But I guess I could do it for you, Dangers.
Thank you for that.
So basically, Toadette has moons that essentially work as achievement moons. There's this little tracker you get after talking to her the first time that has all of the achievements on it. And yeah, she has 61 moons. We get 30 of them in Darker Side, and they end up being pretty fast because they kind of just latch on to different things we've done throughout the run.
That's right. And like I mentioned earlier, those things are kind of what make the route what it is. Like, there are some that we blow by with no problem. One of them being like beating the game. Beating the game is one. Achieving world peace, so completing the story, that's one. There's one for collecting bird moons. You know, I've been asking the chat to post birds all night. That's one as well. We actually collect 9 birds in this run. We only need 4 or 5, I think. So, you know, that's one. But there are a couple that are like very meticulously picked because we're just scraping by. You need 3 slots machine moons. You need a certain amount of timer challenges. If you miss a timer challenge somewhere in the run, then you lose out on 2 moons. You don't just lose out on 1, you lose out on 2. 2D moons. If you lose out on a 2D moon, you don't lose out on 1, you lose out on 2. Just little things like that. The reason that Toadette exists is to give us those fast moons, and the reason the route is the way that it is usually revolves around her. The only really dumb part about her is that we have to stand here and talk to her for 4.5 minutes. There is no way to really get her to bundle them up and give them to us all at once. So, if she did do that, we'd be popping off. We'd be saving like 4 minutes, but there is no way. We just kind of have to stand here and talk to her for 4.5 minutes. A perfect time, actually, like the most perfect time to plug anything you guys want to over there at ESA. If you've got anything to say about upcoming runs or whatever, this is the perfect little intermission before we get into Darker Side. So
certainly, thank you very much. Still very floored by that generous donation. Would like to shout out our sponsor for this event, which is HyperX. HyperX donated some amazing prizes that you can win, or you can have a chance of winning, I should say, by doing a minimum donation bid of $15 for the HyperX Fury Ultra RGB mousepad, $20 for the Pulsefire Dart wireless mouse, or $25 for the Cloudflight S wireless headset, Cloud X Flight wireless headset, or the HyperX Stinger wireless PS4 headsets. I believe that all of those are cumulative over the marathon, so you can stack those. And also, HyperX are going to match every sub up to 800 sub points with a $2.50 donation. So we're trying to see if we can also get to 800 subs, and we're currently at 559. We might be able to get to 600 by morning. That'd be pretty cool.
that would be pretty cool. We can certainly hope so. And so we also talked about going to first person for like NPCs and some in-game mechanics. Toadette is one of those things. So this is not just like a mash fest. I can't just mash my way through this. I actually have to be paying attention because every time I come out of this animation, I need to be going into first person. And every time I go into first person, it eliminates the camera pan before she starts speaking, and it saves me like 0.1 to 0.2 seconds every time. So it's dumb. It's dumb, but it saves time, especially when you have to talk to her 31 different times. So 500. There we go. I got myself kind of worked up over nothing. We had the right amount of moons all along. And now just Darker Side remains. So we got the 500. That was all we needed. Darker Side opens itself up. And we did it with unique moons too. No duplicates, no buying any from the shop. And Darker Side, so this category has a little bit of a history. In the very original version of this game, 1.0, the release version, there was a trick you used to be able to do called Frog Skip. And you can see how this kingdom starts. We're on the moon's surface. In the background, you can see the tower. You can see where we're going. You used to be able to do a little trick with these frogs and just swim all the way over to the tower. And it skipped having to do Darker Side, just completely. And that trick eventually got patched out. And so the fastest way to do Darker Side used to be with the frog skip trick. And so they were actually separated on the leaderboards as a result of that. But now, 1.3 is the fastest version of the game for basically every category, and the reason for that is they did something. What they did is they added VR capabilities. They really tried to like push their Nintendo Labo stuff, and Super Mario Odyssey was no exception. But they also went and overclocked the loads in the game for some reason, and the game just loaded way faster. So over the course of a 3-hour run, you actually save that 2.5 minutes in loads alone. So you can play this game on 1.3 and just play it the category normally and Darker Side normally, and still be just as fast as somebody who does the frog skip trick, which is pretty crazy. 2.5 minutes of load save over the entire course of the run. Now I'm going to do some stuff that probably doesn't look like what you're supposed to do. Kind of just like skipping over portions of this run. A lot of that that puzzle back there with the uproot was supposed to be done by like pushing the uproot's head into things. Kind of just skipped over that.
Yeah, I love how you do that section in Darker Side. It's very cool.
Yes. I have 1 health, so I'm probably going to pick up a backup health just to be safe. Going back and forth with Yoshi, by the way, making him like kind of a lunatic and making his tongue stick out going back and forth up that elevator is actually faster. He does go a little bit faster if you do that. Now, we would save probably another like 30 seconds if we could somehow find a way to skip this flower road, but as it stands, not a whole lot of things that we can do. Just kind of have to... just have to wait for it. And this puzzle here activates when you activate the Scarecrow, but if you're standing on top of the platform, you kind of just go over the top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this heart. The reason I need this heart is so I don't die. Please don't do that, Mario. There we go. Now this is our friend Glydon. And he's going to be taking us to the next part of this level. We're going to get a little bit more height with him, and you can see there's some really exciting platforming down there coming up. Can't wait to do that, right, Fur?
I mean, you're not going to do it, though.
I don't know what you mean. It's right down there. I could just take a little dive down there. Well, I don't know what's...
Yeah, but why would you do that? That's slow.
You're right. It is kind of slow. Well, what about that Bowser painting there? That looks fun. Why don't we dive in there?
We don't need it.
Oh, we don't need it.
I had actually not seen the inside of that Bowser painting until like maybe late last year.
You're right.
I've been speedrunning this game since it came out.
You're right. We don't actually need any of that. Kind of just fly over the top. Hidden mechanic with Glydon, if you shake, you kind of maintain your height. You don't maintain it perfectly, but you do maintain it enough that if you shake all the way through that flight, and you avoid the death plane by just kind of swerving around the side, kind of don't even have to worry about doing any of the rest of Darker Side. You can kind of just skip it all. And that saves probably about 2 minutes, so... And then we're here. We're finally on the other side. Chat's getting in there with the no-use. That's awesome. Doing the no-use skip. Oh, I didn't... Frog, hello? You're having a little trouble there, bud. Can I help? There we go.
Big Frog.
Big Frog? All right, now Cappy tells like a really sappy story here. But first of all, it's in Chinese, and I don't really read Chinese. And the second thing is that we go too fast to actually hear the entire story because we're not climbing the pole the way that Cappy really wants us to. But time is now. We've arrived at time. I hope you had that big red button ready for...
Did I have to press it again?
I think so.
Oh, heck, I'll press it. I didn't realize. They didn't prepare me for that. I just knew I had to press it to start it.
And there we go. And that's Darker Side. And in my opinion, probably the most like objectively the best category in my mind. It takes you through what Odyssey has to offer as a game in a way that is more than just, you know, the regular story, start to finish. Any percent is good, any percent is optimal, any percent is fun, but if you really want to experience Odyssey in one sitting, this is probably the category for you. Probably my favorite, after all is said and done. So,
yeah, but you don't
GGs.
do volleyball in this category.
You're right, we do all of the fun stuff.
Can't believe you're still doing this to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but you don't get the boxers in this category.
Oh, you're right.
over the place. Should be back on now.
Okay, we're back. Hello. I guess yeah. We're doing a nipple % run as was incentivized. So here we are. I know that Fur. Yeah, I know that Fur really wants to see.
You can hit the
Mario's
button
nipples.
again. By the way, you can do that.
Excellent. So yeah, the control is yours, Fur. You're going to be the one to start the run.
All right. I already hit the button by mistake.
Okay, we'll just go. It's fine. We'll just go.
Yeah.
So, nipple % is probably the hottest meme category that this game has. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Mario has been programmed to have nipples in this game, and we're gonna view them. We're gonna gaze upon them as fast as we can. And you can buy the boxer shorts as early as the Sand Kingdom. And they cost 1,000 coins. So really what this run is a run to get 1,000 coins as fast as you possibly can, and then just whip off all your clothes for $1,000. It's interesting. Very interesting category.
Yeah, it really is. So if Mario is spending 1,000 coins on the boxers, does that mean in his current outfit he's not wearing any?
You know, this is not something that I thought I wanted to think about, but now it's on my mind and I can't not think of what you're trying to imply here.
So yeah, we have to get coins throughout this run, and you're going to see Danger's going out of his way a lot to get extra coins. And he's also going to be focusing on a few things called hint arts. I know we were talking about hint arts in the last run, but these hint arts we're talking about here actually give us 200 coins a pop. So we're going to be getting a few of those, which makes this run a lot faster.
That's right. And the last run, we specifically went up the cap tower on the left side to try and go fast. This time we're going on the right side just because there's this nice trail of coins. Because all we're doing is getting to sand. We're trying to accomplish the game up until the Sand Kingdom. So we have to pack as many coins as we can in that time. And that's Cap Kingdom, taken care of just like that. And now Cascade, you remember us talking about DSS, which is the trick where we climb up the rock wall. We're going to be doing that again, but this time we're going to take a little bit of a different path because there is one of those hint arts that Fur was talking about in this kingdom. So we got to go out of our way for that.
Yeah.
Each one of those hint arts gives us 200 coins. And there are 3 of them available to us in the first 3 kingdoms. So that already is 600 coins right off the bat.
So how are you feeling about DSS this time?
You know, I'm usually pretty confident about it, and then some dork comes along and asks me how I'm feeling about it, and then all of a sudden I second guess
just
myself.
talk about ravioli.
Ooh, ravioli. What is your favorite filling for ravioli for underscore?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know the last time I've eaten ravioli.
You know, same actually. It's been a long time since I've eaten ravioli. But I bet if I imagined when the last time I ate ravioli was, I'd be able to get this trick. There we go. Pretty sure the last time I ate ravioli was when I was, like, still living with my parents. So, it's been a long time. You know, second try is not bad. I'll take that.
It isn't. It really isn't.
Shoutouts to ravioli.
Indeed.
Ground beef and cheese. Probably a good ravioli filling. Tomato, too, of course. So getting a couple coins from this boss fight help us along with our plight, the amount of coins that we need. And the number we need leaving this kingdom is 320, so I think we're on pace.
It's good. And there's always backup coins if you're not quite there.
It's true. If necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I get my redemption arc on the Cascade chest clip as well.
You do?
See if we
Ooh.
can manage it this time.
Yeah?
Come in to this little alcove. Oh yeah. Do you see how Mario like zipped up to the moon there? That's like a guaranteed clip for sure.
I feel like sometimes even when I have that happen, it just doesn't work.
Has that really happened? I feel like there's
Well, if I'm like in the wrong, it has not happened in a while, but I've definitely had instances where it's felt like that. But I feel like that just has to do with positioning, like if you're too far to the one side.
yeah, the left side is not so forgiving as the
Yeah.
right side. All right, Sand Kingdom. And you know, a fitting kingdom to be in our boxers in. I mean, it's supposed to be hot here. Unfortunately for us, until we achieve world peace, it's actually cold here, but we don't have to tell Mario that. He's fine. We don't care about Mario's temperature comfort. We just care about his nipples, so...
Mm.
Here we are in Sand, and we're going to be doing 3 major things here. We're going to be getting 2 hint arts, and we're going to be getting another coin cache. That is available to us. So that's the first coin hint art in town. It was important that I got the checkpoint in town as well, because we're going to be coming back to the shop to buy the boxers. Get that hint art as well. And maybe this is revealing some secrets. These hint arts were actually released by Nintendo over time. Their official Twitter account was releasing hint arts kind of like the ones that look like they're in the game. Just releasing them on Twitter and soft patching all of these hint arts in over time. And it was kind of like a treasure hunt to find them. But they've been in the game ever since. So if you know the location, and these ones you don't have to look at. You don't have to pull open your phone and go to Twitter to to be able to activate these hint arts, which is really good.
Are there 280 or 260 coins in Sphinx?
280.
Okay, I was remembering wrong. I was getting worried watching your coin count as you were like rolling
time.
up to the thing. Oh heck, I need to press the button.
I think I might have sub 8 that, maybe. Considering we started
Well,
the time
the
really late.
timer was off, so I want to say you did.
There they are, in all their glory. And Mario's foot, too, for good measure. And there we go. That is the incentive. That is Nipple percent. We've arrived.
Get a nice zoom. Mm.
Look at that zoom. I mean, I have to give the people
Love
what they
it.
came here for. And I like the nice, like, they look pretty comfy, to be honest. They've got that, like, nice cotton finish on the boxers there.
Yeah.
So, the polka dots. But yeah, I mean, that's it. That's Nipple percent, and that's Darker Side. This is a little showcase of Super Mario Odyssey. I'd like to take a moment to thank ESA for, allowing me to be a part of the event. I think it's really cool that we're all coming together in all of these kinds of events to support the cause, and gaming for a good cause is always really cool. Shoutouts to Fur for joining me on commentary. Thank you so much for that.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's me.
and thank you for the hosts that were joining us throughout this run. It's a bit of a long one, so thanks for hanging in there and just keeping us company and reading the donations and stuff.
Thank you for the amazing run.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anytime. Yeah, I'll give it back to you guys. Thank you so much for having me, and I'll see you next time.